Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of the crazy, corrupt, creepy halls of Congress. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Friday, March 6, 2026. And this right here, the thing that you are watching, well, it's got a name. And its name is called the TNAM Daily Show. TNAM stands for the New American Media. And if you want a mug that would remind you every time you sip some coffee, we have these available. Shoot me a Venmo at Brian Engelman. $40 includes up to $10 shipping and handling across the continental United States. And this too can be yours. I'll put up the donation links at the bottom. You can subscribe to us on Patreon, Rumble, and YouTube, monthly subscriptions, as well as Rumble Rant tips and Super Chat tips. I am Brian the bartender. We're going to talk about all these stories that are on the screens behind me. I don't make the news. I just try to decipher it. Special thanks to John. We know John out there. He's one of the regulars. He comes in. He has lunch with us every day. So essentially, you're showing up and we're having lunch together, getting the special. Is the news always special? No, sometimes it's awful. Avoid the jerky. Ugh. But yes, thanks to John, because he ordered 2 sets of coasters. They will provide some stable footing for his beverages at the homestead in Texas. He got the 2 of the circle-shaped ones. There's 4 per pack. They're 30 each, or 2 for 50, shipping included. And he got a pin. Pins are 25. So if you want any merch, 40, 30, 2 for 50, or 25 for the pin, just shoot me a Venmo with your address and I will get that mailed out. Thank you for your continued support of the show, to John and to everybody else who chips in and says hello. And, we gather and we bang our heads up against the wall. Hello to Miraculous Botanical. What is it? Miracolius. What does miracolius mean? I don't know. Is that a word I should know? Is that like cumulonimbus? But hello to Nick. Nick has grown disenchanted, as have many people, and it's okay. We've had our ups and our downs, and I think when I finished the show yesterday, I was a little bit more frustrated than I am right now. But it's like the stock market. It's like trying to follow crypto. You'll blow your brains out if you follow it on a daily basis. That's why we try to have a little bit of fun here when we can. We can be eager, we can be excited, we can be hopeful, we can be depressed, we can be distressed, we can be angry, we can be black-pilled and just be like, fuck it, I don't even want to think about it, I don't want to talk about it, I hate them all, burn it all down. And it's like, I get it. I definitely go through these the vacillations, thinking of a third adjective, the fluctuations. There we go. Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe things are all fucked. Maybe some good is happening. There is still a glimmer of hope, like shining off in the darkness. You're out there camping or something and you hear something out in the woods and you look and it's like, I think I see a shadow of something. Oh, wait, what's that? It looks like a light. Somebody out there with a flashlight? What's going on? Are people creeping on us? Are these the good guys coming with light? Or are these creepy people in hoods doing bad stuff out in the dark? And you're like, I don't know. Because the unknown is scary. The unknown is fight or flight syndrome, trying to spike those cortisol levels because we could be getting hunted right now. And that's the nature of politics. That's why you want politics to be small, confined. You don't want the grid, whether it's Palantir, the New World Order, the Illuminati, the globalists, the Iranian tracking systems. Did you hear about that? That the U.S. hacked into those and they were used to creep on all of the females and maybe end their lives or torture them or worse, all of the above. If they take their face garb off too soon or drive home without it, it's like the social credit score of China. We want a limited government. We don't want craziness. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. I have a comment. You look moist. Huh? What does that mean? Now, I did put something on my shoulders because I had hanger bumps. And I was like, well, maybe I should address it. I go, no, there's no way anybody could notice that. I don't know what your lot lizard comment on Twitch is about, but if you'd care to elaborate, I think that's hilarious. Thank you for being here. Look, we don't read all of your goofy ass comments, like lot lizard talking about someone looking moist. I don't even know what to do with that. People say that's the worst word on earth. It's up there, along with the 7 words that Ronald Reagan warned us about. I'm from the government. Wait, what is it? I'm from the government and here, or is it the 9 words? I'm here from government and I'm here to help. Something like that. The worst words you could hear. Oh, okay, there we go. So it's a play on words. Coleus. Am I saying that right? Coleus, your favorite decorative foliage. Oh, hang on. I got to write that one down. And if you're a regular, you understand what I'm writing down here. Anybody type the words in. What do you think I'm adding this to? Coleus foliage. I am the model of a modern major general. So I wrote Coleus foliage, chicanery tomfoolery, narcopolo, lurking loyalist, cornucopia, kaleidoscope, and hullabaloo rigmarole. That's how my brain's wired. I find wordplay interesting, as do you. I know we like to jot our jokes down in the comments, and we'll get your comments up there in just a moment. Hello to everybody. Marion and Northern David. Of course, we are an international show, of course. Yes. Secretary Kristi Noem more. But that's a question. Did she get promoted or did she get fired? Maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. What happened with the ICE director when they left Minneapolis? Did we concede? Did we lose? Or did we obtain our directives? Or did we obtain our, did we accomplish our directives and secure the mission? And did we get some acquiescence for the bad guys to get automatically transferred to ICE? And so you need far fewer people in the surge. You know, the surge where the leftists were being encouraged to go out there into the streets and intervene and interfere with ongoing investigations, operations. And 2 of those people ended up making a series of catastrophically poor decisions and ended up getting themselves deleted. Very unfortunate. And today's a weird, unfortunate day, too. President Trump has backtracked on being okay with parents, Munchausen mommies, adding a chemical cocktail to kids as long as they sign off on it. What? Nancy Mace and others, Anna Paulina Luna and Burchett, like we're just going, why would Congress vote to hide these sex predators, these criminals? You go, what? So we're not going to be deporting people now, and we're going to still be covering for the bad guys. Oh, wait, but no, we're going to go after Epstein. But if the call is coming from inside your house, that's what Congress is doing. They're like, look at Epstein over there. And you're like, no, we're not going to release the information on the slush fund for all of our sexual harassment claims. Now, look, don't make me defend Congress. And I don't think I really did yesterday because I wasn't particularly thinking about it. It wasn't front of mind. It wasn't on my, the front of my cerebral cortex. It wasn't right there. My RAM. We've seen piles of false allegations, whether it's Trevor Bauer in Major League Baseball, Juicy Smollett in Chicago. You're in MAGA country, huh? 2 Nigerians beat him up in a blizzard in Subway at 3 a.m. You're in MAGA country. What? No, 3 a.m. in a blizzard in Chicago at a Subway, getting beaten by 2 Nigerians. That's not MAGA country. That was a hoax. That was a charade. We've seen lots of fake allegations. Look at the lawfare that happened with President Trump. You can dislike the guy. You can think he's this or that. But those cases, those 3 pieces of lawfare from Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg and Letitia James, I mean, garbage cases. I think they should all get overturned on appeal, and I think we're headed toward that. But, the Democrats took a scalp that day. And the whole point was, there were 3 points. Number one, they didn't want him to run for office. So they wanted him to become so risky and radioactive and unpopular that he would never win the primary. And they put little Ron DeSantis in. Oh, Ronnie boy, Ronnie D, little Ronnie D. That didn't work. They wanted to bankrupt him, but, fortunately for him, he's independently wealthy. So, he scoffs at that. But they want to throw him in jail. They want to frame him for an insurrection. Remember when he did not say, patriots, grab your muskets and let's go reclaim our government? That would have been an insurrection. And even I, who voted for the man 3 times, even I, who am a staunch advocate because I think he's the best commander-in-chief we've had in our lifetimes. Now, that might not be saying a lot, depending on your age. But what do we have to choose from? It's not like we have a lot of options between Obama, Biden, Bush, Reagan. Reagan did a lot of good things. He did some dumb things. But for the love of God, nobody's 100%. And sometimes we have to look at the greater picture and say, all right, on the top 100 things, are we closer to common sense in reality, or are we further away from it? And I feel like on a lot of these major issues, we're getting a lot of things right. But even I had President Trump. And look, I was there on January 6th. I went and we did a documentary. The J6 interview, what was it? Declassified? What did I say? Unclassified? The J6 interviews? Declassified? I forget what I titled it, actually. I need to remember that. It's on our YouTube channel. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. However you're watching, make sure you smash the like button, the thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the little hearts button or the confetti. Just show the algorithm that people are active and give a shit. All of your comments do that, but I think different buttons are lit up when you hit the thumbs up and the like and the hearts. Different algorithmic buttons pop up when you toss a 99-cent super chat or a $10 super chat or something, or a Rumble rant. But look, had Trump gone on January 6th, where I was filming it and I was there documenting, people were not running down, Pennsylvania Avenue with pitchforks and torches. Let's go get them. Because President Trump didn't say that. Had he said, hey, we're going to go reclaim our country. It's going to be a mess, but if we do it now or we're going to lose it forever. He didn't even say that. He said fight like hell. Give me a break. 600,000 patriots show up and not a single one of them fires a weapon. Give me a break. They tried to frame him for insurrection to say, insurrectionist, he did an insurrection. He's ineligible to run for president again. We just stole the election from him. Allegedly. You know what I'm about to do, right? I'm bringing up the 2020 election. For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control, because they will tell you that 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of mankind. It was so safe and secure. 81 million totally legitimate votes for Sleepy Joe, Creepy Joe Biden. Sniff the kids. See, that's the duress I have to deliver these reports to you. That's the duress from under which I must deliver these reports. You get what I'm saying. YouTube, Google censored the shit out of us, took our monetization away. The thing that keeps the lights on, thing that pays the mortgage, things that covers the overhead of all the, life. That's how bad it got under Sleepy Joe, the third and most honest term of Barack Hussein Obama. So I can look at the top 100 things and I can take issue with several of them. I can be worried that Iran is going to turn into a forever war, despite Pete Hegseth repeatedly saying, look, let me set the record straight. We grew up in the Gulf War situation in 1990. Was that 92? 91? 92? Jamie, look that up. I can be concerned about that. But I can also look at Mahmoud Ghaffari, who I had on my Saturday show, the Agree to Disagree show, along with Pastor Bruce Engelman, my uncle. We were talking about the historical, geopolitical context of what happened in Iran. They've killed over 1,000 Americans, including 46 when they butchered the Israelis on October 7th. Unless, of course, you want to say the Jews did everything, even they attacked themselves. There's that perspective I hear from certain wings of MAGA. I get it. But the Iranians have killed over 1,000, more than 1,000 United States citizens since they stole that country, turned it into an Islamic hellhole. And so by killing the Ayatollah and taking out their nuclear program first, and by the way, if you take out their nuclear program and don't go and get all the missiles and the rest of their stuff, you're just kind of letting them still have the ammunition to get back to that point again. The minute that occurred, it should have been obvious. It wasn't to me at the time. It should have been obvious that that was going to be part of the plan. But I can have concerns about that and still remain slightly cautiously optimistic that maybe President Trump has a bigger plan. That light I was telling you about in the forest. You know, there are glimmers of hope, and maybe it's foolish trusting a plan, or oh yeah, Trump knows what he's doing. You go, does he though? It looks like what? It doesn't. Congress is blocking him. John Thune is utterly worthless or compromised. I mean, Republicans do not know how to govern. Democrats, if nothing, and I don't give them credit for anything, but they do stick together and they do get stuff done. They get bad stuff done, but they get it done. Republicans are much like Lit, that alternative rock band from the 90s, 2000s. They are their own worst enemy. But there is a little bit of glimmer of hope despite all these frustrating scenarios. Maybe something is happening. Maybe it's part of a bigger plan, and maybe all of this does revolve around China. Maybe some of this show of force, removing Maduro, they call him a illegitimate narco-terrorist, air quote, leader of Venezuela, and they've been exporting their terror and their fentanyl and their bullshit to the United States and to the globe for a long time. The people there were thrilled when he was taken out. The people in Mexico were thrilled when, not El Chapo, what's the other guy? So insignificant, I forget his name. Yeah, a couple of days of unrest in Acapulco, but things have settled down over there, and you have one less narco-terrorist that's abusing people. Human trafficking, slavery, bribery, blackmail, butchery. The stuff that was removed in Iran is a net positive for humanity, and maybe it all does kind of play into a plan. And there's a couple of things. You're going to see the show of force, and guess what? Maybe Ukraine, Russia are going to be looking at this going, okay, peace through strength. Something, I don't know how much longer I want to just pretend I'm bulletproof over here, literally or figuratively. Maybe part of this plays a role in destroying BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and putting the Federal Reserve note back on par as the global currency, and or a global reset of our financial currency, stable coins, gold-backed, reconfiguring how we manage our government. We're just a couple months away, or I mean, even closer now, I think, from a new Federal Reserve chair. Why do we have a Federal Reserve number one? There's no reason why we need to pay somebody for the privilege of printing our own currency and then the privilege of them loaning it back to us at interest. Give me a break. President Trump didn't create all of those problems. He didn't put Maduro into Venezuela. He didn't put the Shah into Iran in 1979, but I have a clip that I'll play you today. He's been pretty consistent about the problem over there. I mean, there's an interview from 1980, 81. I forget what year it is exactly, but I mean, but he's been fairly consistent that that's not okay. And the people in Iran, they are celebrating because it was the most totalitarian regime you've seen. You could maybe look at America and say, oh, they're equally totalitarian. And you could say, all right. I mean, I can't really win against, I've got a black pill scenario for every single scenario. I get it. I get it. I get it. Maybe it's to be contrarian. Maybe it's to be the smartest person in the room. Maybe it's just there's something fun about being in the opposition because you never actually have to be the man in the arena. When you're not the man in the arena, it's easy to look at it and talk shit. And I'm guilty of it too. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president of the United States, gave an address called Citizenship in a Republic. He delivered this at the Sorbonne, maybe I pronounced that correctly, in Paris, France on April 23rd, 1910, just 3 years before our government was stolen by the banksters, the Federal Reserve, the ADL, the income tax, all those awful, awful, awful things that Woodrow Wilson delivered to us. Once again, Just because some bad things are happening right now doesn't mean Trump's the reason. And it doesn't mean that he's incapable of making corrections and improving situations. And it also doesn't mean he can snap his fingers and fix everything at once. He's not a god, he's a man. Theodore Roosevelt said in this address, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." So forgive me if I'm not opening up my laptop every day, hopping onto social media on my cell phone, and looking for a reason to bitch about President Trump and MAGA. Forgive me, if you will. Forgive me for being cautiously optimistic, maintaining a little bit of hope, and being critical as needed, of course. But for the love of God, I've watched the Democrats play their games along with the rhino Republicans, right? Republican in name only, with the lying legacy media, with the teachers' unions, the education system, indoctrination system. I've watched a nonstop barrage from leftists, communists, Marxists, New World Order types, globalists, traitors. And I'm done with whatever crap they're selling. I'm not interested in it. Don't want it. Never have, never will. So I would just encourage everybody, look, we can be honest about concerns, about frustrations, about boiling rage, anger points. But accusations do not equate to guilt. Things that don't seem to make enough sense to us right now might not be bad. They might work out gloriously if we give it a chance to play out. If we kind of step back a little bit and maybe not be so angry at everything, maybe not lash out daily. I think the left kind of has that market cornered. They say never argue with an idiot because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. So there's a lot of stories I don't fully understand from Kristi Noem. Was she fired or promoted? Maybe both. Schrodinger's removal, Schrodinger's promotion, Schrodinger's firing. It's both a firing and a promotion, a firotion, a premiering. I don't know. Maybe the operation in Iran, who's just been the worst neighbor you could ever imagine on your street. Everybody on the street has been just terrorized by, annoyed by, frustrated by, angered by, brutalized by that Iranian Islamic supremacist regime. We don't want to get involved in a land war in Asia. Kenneth, you know what that's from? We don't want to get embroiled in some forever conflict, spilling our blood and treasure. But as my surgeon said when he repaired a ligament, and I'm like, I still haven't regained any feeling in that area where the incision was, and kind of feels weird. He's like, sometimes you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And that's not to be to trivialize any loss of life with the American military, because we've suffered casualties. We've suffered fatalities and injuries. But if you're going to jump into the arena, you're going to get hit. And you will take your lumps and your bruises and you will get hurt. But what's the alternative? getting pummeled to your demise? Because it sure felt like when Mayorkas and Biden and Obama were opening up the southern border for terrorists, invaders, military-aged men, unvetted, unchecked, unscreened, from parts unknown, with operations, missions, and agendas unknown. Kind of felt like we were getting pummeled into oblivion, to dust, to a rubble pile. And I've watched over the last 13, 14 months now, I've watched a lot of things head in the right direction. Can't always get what you want, but sometimes you just might find you'll get what you need. So anyway, let me take this countervailing views crap off the bottom of the screen because you're adults. I'll put back up the donation link, Rumble Rants, Super Chats if you want to tip your boy. Like I said, hit the thumbs up button. Try to share this show with a friend. Just click the share link. Text it out to a couple of your smart friends. Ask them to jump in and watch the show and join us in the comments. I can't get to every comment. Couldn't possibly. But I do like to highlight some of them because we're having a conversation. I'm the bartender, but you're sitting right here. We're having a back and forth conversation. So I just remind everyone, the New American Media, we're seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun. We ask you to join our mostly civil conversation. That's how we try to operate to the best of our abilities. And if we can stay within those constraints, we're all welcome here. Even the trolls. What's the over-under on how many more minutes before we get a troll comment? That's where we do the pinkies up. We put our pinkies up. That's our TNAM salute to trolls. We have a regular that shows up every day with something copied and pasted, but it's good. As John B. Wells has said, Brian, if you're taking flack, that means you're above the target. Okay, so it's good to not be ignored in that sense. But we are trying to do a little bit more than not be ignored. We want to double the program. So please invite some friends, some family members, some neighbors, some compatriots, people you know in real life or people you only know online, and ask them to subscribe to the show, to check it out. We're currently Monday through Friday at noon Eastern time. And I hope you get some value out of this. I know many of you get some value out of this. I get value out of this. I consider it to be my favorite part of the day. In many ways, it's one of my favorite parts of the day. Waking up is a good part, most of the time. But gathering and trying to unpack the news together, we say we're a bunch of raccoons, a bunch of trash pandas rifling through the rubbish, separating fake news from fact. I mean, you could have stuff in that trash can. Really valuable things that shouldn't have been tossed in there. And then a bag of rotting trash. And it's every day, it's like you never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates. Some of them are rotting baby diapers. We try to sort it out together. That's what the New American Media has always been. It's a place to go because we got tired of the propaganda and the lies, the known liars, the known agitators, the known propagandists, the known traitors. And I woke up one day, I was probably out in Taos, New Mexico. And I've always loved media and interviews and anything with a microphone, whether it's announcing football games or interviewing people or performing on stage with a band. I just like performing. I like communicating. And I decided while I was out in Taos, New Mexico, building off-the-grid, self-sustainable homes at the Greater World Earthship Community, 640 acres, sitting in the foothills of the Sangre de Cristos Mountains. And I saw an unidentified something or other go overhead. Don't know what it was. I'm not claiming to know what it was. But it's a holy area. They say that the indigenous people up on the other side of the Taos Mountain, where I was fortunate to go because one of the ladies working at the Earthships was married to an indigenous man. So I got to go on their reservation. You don't just show up on these places unannounced. Wild horses and such. Just super cool. And I had gone out to Taos, New Mexico. I literally went from bartending at the Oscars in Los Angeles. I don't even remember if I slept that night or if I took a brief nap and got up and went. I wish I did. And see, that's why it's important to take a journal. But I believe I drove through the night. I think it was like 13 hours. It was a long drive. And While out in Taos, New Mexico, I had this feeling, this idea, this decision that I was going to start something. Didn't really have a name for it, didn't really fully understand where it was headed, but I was going to communicate. I was going to put myself out there. By the way, that sort of makes me unemployable to like anyone that's going to do a quick background check. So, your continued support through donations and merchandise, it's all just crucial. But yeah, I sort of made the decision. I'm like, if I got one life to live, I'm going to speak now or forever hold my peace. I will be the man in the arena. I'm going to jump in. Oh, and I've been hit a lot when Facebook, Instagram, Meta deleted my personal profile, deleted my private groups, deleted my company page. No cause, no explanation, no opportunity to remedy any alleged issue, no customer service, just erased, like you all are going to be if we don't get this figured out. You will all suffer that same fate. Maybe many of you have. Your digital footprint erased. The mark of the beast. You can't buy or sell goods or communicate in the digital town hall, the town square, rather, unless you have the proper opinions and ideas. And I didn't like that during COVID, during that 2020 charade where 5 states magically paused their count for the first time in my life. Trump's up hundreds of thousands. We're sipping bourbon, doing a live stream, getting ready to, all right, term number 2 begins. He's won in a massive landslide. Let's get back to work. And that set us off in a 5-year, half-decade hellscape of the resident in chief taking us in every bad direction imaginable. The country was teetering on the brink of collapse, as is taught by the Cloward and Piven strategy to overwhelm the system with too many debt obligations. Look at Minneapolis. Look how they were being plundered, looted, sucked dry by leeches. I mean, we were this close. For those of you in Rio Linda, California, I'm holding my fingers together. This close to losing it all. And as Ronald Reagan said, freedom is not a birthright. Every generation has to fight for it. It's not passed along through our blood. And so we're giving it a shot. We're going to unpack the news. We're going to try to be positive if we can. We're going to be frustrated where it's appropriate. And we're going to do our best to have a little bit of fun along the way. So thank you for being here at the New American Media. I do appreciate you and I love you. And with that being said, the TNAM Daily Show begins now.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. Let's see what's going on in chat. Droopy Dog in the hizzy. Droopy Dog's in the doghouse. What's up? Yes. If Lot Lizard has another comment, I'd love to hear it. All right. Yeah, I've probably asked you about the coleus before, Botanical. I'm just not familiar with the coleus plant. Do you propagate the that foliage? Let's see. Saying, I can just never see being MAGA again, seeing how little Trump cares of the sovereignty of other nations. Very disturbed about what he said about Spain. What was the Spain quote exactly? Wasn't Spain the country that said you can't use our bases or our airspace? And then they're turning, they've changed their tune since. Yeah, Europe. And JD Vance went over there and he's like, we're supposed to be allies, but you guys are locking people up for speech. Not everybody gets every issue right, but the European Union, a lot of those people that feel like they have installed air quote leaders who are not representing their best interests over there. So the Spain thing, I think that might be what you're referencing. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that. If someone has something, share us on X. Copy us. What am I trying to say? Tag us on X at American_media_. And we don't share everything, but we share a lot of these things. So thank you. I think being critical is far more productive. I think accurate depictions. Yep, accurate depictions and critical thinking, indeed. Kenneth says my phone is smarter than most of my friends. Yes, the smartphone. But yeah, Kenneth also says this group is smarter than the average phone. And now I don't know about that particularly, but I think we have a really smart group. We got a sharp group. We got a funny group. We got a newsy group. You know, we're all trying to figure out a lot of the same answers here. Marion says, I guess I'll be okay since I don't have a digital footprint. Well, that was actually the name of a script I started working on, Digital Footprint. Kenneth says, he said that the rain over Spain has mainly been a pain. Yes, pretty close. Did C-3PO leave a digital footprint? All right, well played. Botanical, the Earthship thing is the coolest thing that I know about you, Brian. What did Mitch Hedberg say? He's like, what was his joke about a boat captain? I'm a steamboat captain. There's a lot of shit you don't know about me. Yeah, look, Earthships are fantastic. And I do have a hard drive full of a documentary that I never got to. And now it's like zipped closed and I've tried to open it. I'll try it again, but like I could release a Earthship documentary sometime soon. Allegedly, hopefully. Yeah, Earthships are awesome. Off the grid, self-sustainable living. And that's how Nick found us. We interviewed Adam Kokesh, who called me a pussy for not going and building one or moving into one. I'm like, all right. I call my friends pussies all the time. If you think that they need it, you know, everybody needs a kick in the rear, a kick in the keister from time to time. Lake says, Marion, you have a digital footprint. You just don't know it yet. Trust me, they know. She says, I have a very tiny one. That's what Barack said too. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I've that UFO, I mean, it was a circle ball of light that came over the Sangre de Cristos Mountains where I was at the Hive, the housing for intern volunteers and employees, this Earthship mega structure that was built as like a yoga retreat and then sold at foreclosure and they reclaimed it. And that's where we all stayed. But yeah, this thing, I mean, it moved so fast over me. You know, I just saw like a circular ball of light that just, I mean, it was, by the time I caught what was, I heard it and then I saw it and then it was over me, then it was gone. That thing moved fast. But yeah, I've had a lot of encounters, a lot of encounters. I think there's definitely more to this universe, this realm, this video game, this simulation than we realize. Some of us realize it. Some of us know it, but don't exactly know how the pieces fit. Like Maynard sang, I know the pieces fit in a Tool song. Yes. Okay. Botanical. Trump basically said we can use their base. Who's going to stop us? I mean, look, Europe is seemingly backing Ukraine against Russia. We're supposed to have alliances and we're supposed to be on the same team. But I mean, whether it's Macron or the D-bag in Spain or a couple of the Starmer in the UK, I mean, these allegiances and alliances, they're fleeting. They're spurious at best. They're they're kind of hanging by a thread. All right, let's go ahead and bounce to our stories. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. Remember, Rumble Rant and Super Chat tips if you're feeling inclined this Friday. It is a new month. We are 6 days into a new month. And 0 Super Chats on YouTube just yet. So let's boost those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. All right, I like going to Mike Ben's just to hear things. And I don't recall if this was a part of yesterday's program. I think it might have been since it was 23 hours ago posted. But it's always a good idea to check back in with the Clinton crime family and double check that we're on the same page there. Oh, hold on. Why is the mutes?
Clinton came forward with in 2014.
Hillary.
She said, we came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt. As I recall, we were something like $12 million in debt. That sticks out to me when I think about the Epstein-Clinton affair. It's been reported that Jeffrey Epstein is on the White House visitors logs in the 1990s at least 17 times. We know that Bill Clinton's State Department rented out a 5-story mansion to Jeffrey Epstein directly. And then we know that Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers testified in court that Epstein helped set up the Clinton Foundation in the early 2000s. We know from the Epstein files that one of the ways that he seems to capture people in network is by getting politicians towards the end of their government service as they're transitioning into the private sector, hooked up with lucrative private sector deals that leverage their government connections. Did this with Bill Burns, who was the Deputy Secretary of State when he went on to the Carnegie Foundation before he became CIA director. Did this with Kathy Rumler, who was the White House counsel, who then went on to represent the Rothschild Bank and then Goldman Sachs, and appeared to have done this in some respect with President Clinton. He's directly leasing from the Clinton State Department, and I would not be surprised if Epstein's donor network were early contributors to the Clinton Foundation. I think this is one of the lines of questioning that the world is eagerly awaiting in terms of the depositions that just took place. The Clinton Foundation has been a font of corruption. To get the Epstein side of that story would be fascinating. There's this.
And I think the GOP made a big mistake by not having Mike Ben's a part of those investigations. The lines of interrogation. Why wouldn't you? Or maybe he's saying that, telling you, hey, you better put me up there next time. Do a round 2. Yeah, I don't know where Mike Ben's came from, but he's very valuable. I mean, I know where he came from, like,
There's this quote,
but still, his insight's very helpful. This guy, I don't know who this is. Denny Dury? Dennis Eschelberger. Me driving home from the party knowing that I'll never be invited back, but at least now everyone knows that. Gotta mute the music. Oh. Now everyone knows that people are, volume up,
indoctrinated, fluoridated, medicated, vaccinated, glyphosated, cosmeticated, food sedated, and irradiated. What does that mean? They watch TV.
They watch TV. They're drinking water that has poison. They're taking medications that are told will heal them, but they're actually K-ing them. So they're medicated. They're V'd, as you can tell by the last 2 years. People lined up for an experimental bio clutch shot, by the way. You don't have to pay for it. It's free. Totally free. You have to pay for a Tylenol, but the V's, hey, they're free. Let that sink in. Go to cdc.gov for countervailing views. Just let it sink in. Let that settle. Why didn't I have to pay for that? Number 5, they glyphosated us. It's Roundup sprayed on your food. So when people say I got a problem with wheat and oats and corn and soy and all this stuff, it's not the problem. It's not that stuff. God made it. It's genetically modified crap that they're spraying chemicals on. So gluten is not the problem. Glyphosate is the problem. You've been lied to. Cosmetics around every orifice on your face, sedated by the food. They're radiated by the 5G, the X-ray machines, their TVs, their microwaves. So maybe you're not going to get invited back to that party, but now people know. Pinkies up, everybody. Cheers. Oh, here, let's do a group cheers. Ready? Pinkies up. Grab your beverage. We're going to do a simultaneous sip in honor of Scott Adams. Pinkies up. If you would like to participate in this with me and the rest of the TNAM crew, all you need is a cup or mug or glass, a tankard, chalice or stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better. It's called the simultaneous sip, and it happens now. Go. It's good coffee. Rest in peace, Scott Adams. Okay. You know, if I had a producer, I would save this for last because this is your moment of zen. Wow. Wow. Breaking jaw-dropping new body cam footage out of Austin, Texas. Heroic officers are charging straight in and lighting up this Islamic terrorist. Zero hesitation, pure guts. These body cams are something else, man. They're responding and they don't know what they're running into. I get it. Nobody wants to get abused by the police. I get it. Nobody wants to get shaken down and harassed and micromanaged. And what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Like, get away. I want the least amount of government in my life as possible. So stay out of my face. All right. I get that. But also, I appreciate that we can outsource some of this tactical training and assistance when somebody goes berserk on, I think this was a crowded Austin street at a nightclub or something. So here we go. This should be your moment of zen. It should be our final story, but it happens to be here in our stack. So let's get to it. Here we go.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So this guy, I'm with you, and he runs up to give this guy support. People are fleeing this direction, but they don't know what they're going at. AR-15, AR-15.
Down! Everybody down! 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 Where is he? Where? Hey! Front 2 or 3 shots fired, 1 down, 6 on West Ave.
So is that the bad guy or the good guy? That's a good guy.
Over there. He's on 6th Street.
Oh, okay, so this is another officer's body cam compared. I mean, I don't want any abusive police actions. I'm with everybody 100% on that. By the way, you see the left now saying we don't need body cams. We got to get rid of body cams. You know why? Because a lot of their fake bullshit claims of abuse have now turned into, oh, look, another liar. It's another juicy Smollett. It's another unproven accusation. Look at that. It's another false narrative being pushed by the Democrats and the media and academia to make people hate law enforcement, to make people hate the right or conservatives or MAGA or something. That, my friends, is how it should be done. Exactly, Marion. When we want to play this game, you shouldn't have shot that lady in Minneapolis. You were at this angle. You were not here. You were technically there. And so you should be in jail for the rest of your life. It's like, fuck off. You have no time to make a decision. You're doing the best you can with what you got. And to like everything, if you, a couple decades ago, before the real advent of instant replay for football or something, you see a catch, you're the referee, you call it a catch, or you say you're out of bounds. And that's it. You split second, you make the call and you move on. You do the best you can with what you got. Now, of course, if you're consistently making bad calls, you shouldn't be a ref. We all agree on that too. But like freeze framing, see, okay. Yep, should have stopped right there. That was 3 milliseconds too late. Yep, you should be on trial. And you go, what are you talking about? These people have no time to make decisions, and they're doing the best that they can. Not everybody's trained the right way. Not everybody handles pressure. You don't know how you're going to react in a situation until you go through it. That's the reality of things. But this guy, here's another angle. This one's even crazier.
Where is it? Where is it? Who shot?
Where is he? Where is he? Who shot? And then a shot rings out. It's like, okay, this ain't no video game.
Shots fired! Shots fired! The suspect is down! Stop moving! Stop moving! Don't move! Don't move! I'm on the suspect! Move here now! I'm on the 6th and west!
We're just gonna say bravo. Fewer madmen, the better. Oh. All right, everybody, be prepared. Okay, here's your black pill post of the day. There is no political answer, says, who's this? Katie, the goat lady. Okay. This is the main one I want to show you. The fake aliens are coming. Be prepared, whether it's the Pope or the president or the deep state or all of the above. The fake aliens are coming. Beware. How are you going to handle Project Bluebeam when it happens? On my way to do some 1776 shizzle. Life's a garden, bro. Just dig it. What kind of books were they burning? Oh. Small circle, but we know our rights. Yeah. Anyway, beware, the fake aliens are coming. When they try to pull that alien stuff, how are you going to handle it? What do you like? Are you going to reject it, whatever it is? Are you going to accept it? You're going to play it by ear? It's a good time to find your spiritual guiding, your guiding light, to find your moral compass and your. This would be a good time to figure out exactly who you are and what you believe while you have the chance. Because when the fake aliens come, and we've heard Obama talk about it, Marco Rubio, Anna Paulina Luna, Obama, did I say Obama? Obama, Trump, Rubio, Paulina Luna. It seems like, and I think the Pope's talked about, essentially they're saying that if you don't, when this happens, there's going to be a new rewriting of biblical understanding. If you don't accept the new one, you're going to be an apostate? You're going to be a pariah in their eyes. So just be prepared. The fake aliens are coming. Plan accordingly. Don't know what this is. Let's see. Come on. Here's a good one. I bet even Nick likes this. I sure hope Iran doesn't try to destroy our top secret nuclear facility, pictured here in the top left corner. These jokes will never get old. I've heard that the University of Michigan is weeks, if not days, away from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Go get them. The IRS building, the Internal Revenue Service building. I'm not following this account, but I like memes, so I'll follow it. All right. Oop, that's the one I was just on. All right. And Nick, I think this is what you were referring to as the president it just laughs about death or something. You know, it's sort of his way, but it's also a warning to stop effing around. A reporter allegedly, according to communism survivor here, that's Victoria Vladimirovna. A reporter allegedly asked Trump, now that you've K'd the supreme leader, who's going to be the next head of Iran? And Trump responded, I don't know. I guess the position is open. I'm creating jobs in Iran, too. Talking about the Pope. Hey, when you see white smoke, that lets you know that Iran has a new Ayatollah. Kaboom. Man had his first day on the job, learned how to log in, where the bathroom was, and how to mute himself on Teams, and then got eliminated before he even figured out where the coffee was. Bro didn't even make it to Casual Friday. Yeah, that's a bad idea, taking that job. I don't know that that would be wise to take that job. And the more you talk about how unwise it would be to take that job, maybe that job will stop. And we can stop this operation. They can get a transitional government of their own choosing. Probably that Reza Pahlavi from the family that was overthrown in 1979. He's been on record saying, I don't want to govern this place per se. I want to lead the transitional government to what we, the people, the citizens, want it to be. A misfit patriot. Iran says, we've replaced the Ayatollah. You have not stopped the regime. Israel and the U.S. Yeah, we just K'd that on that one too. We can do this shit all day. Good luck finding someone who wants the job title of most likely to have a rocket shoved up their ass on the first day. Mossad commentary says multiple reports now indicate that the newly appointed Ayatollah has been K'd in an airstrike. The book by Ayatollah Arafi, Supreme Leader for a Day. My turn to talk. One day. This guy, Raylan Givens, says, Iran, they announced the appointment of a new defense minister, Saeed Majid Ibn Reza. Banshi says, yeah, you'd think they'd stop announcing these publicly at some point, but Cat Turd chimes in. Today's new Iranian Ayatollah schedule. Third Ayatollah, 2 p.m. to 3:47 p.m. Fourth Ayatollah, 3:47 to 5. Fifth Ayatollah, 5 to 7:18. Sixth Ayatollah, 7:18 to 9:33. Might not want to keep announcing these things. Okay, this is a super underrated post. This, politics aside, this is kind of ridiculous. C3 says, might be a good day for David Letterman to lay low for a while. He does look like an Ayatollah. I watched him a couple of years ago. He like launched a podcast or Netflix. You know, I'm going to do some interviews. Some people look like Santa Claus. Some people look like an Ayatollah. And he sort of looks like an Ayatollah. David Letterman. Vivid reports the Israeli Air Force bombed a meeting of Iran's Assembly of Experts while they were voting to choose the new supreme leader. All 88 members have reportedly been eliminated. When you lie down for a 20-minute nap, but you woke up 3 Ayatollahs later, not a great job choice. Who did this? Bomb Jovi? Living on a prayer, Matt? Oh, boy. These pictures of all these leaders, allegedly all of them eliminated. They're starting to run out of people to continue that murderous, tyrannical, demonic reign of terror. So let's see. I'd say the sooner this resolves itself and we can stop doing things and that they can have some peace and stability, the better. Okay, another hilarious post. This is Nick Fuentes. This is Carnifex Maximus says, point of view, you're an Iranian terrorist waking up to your 72 virgins this morning. But they're all Nick Fuentes. Crap. Rashida Tlaib. She did not hold up a sign that says all my friends are dead. Did she? She might as well have. Look at that. Look at that sour expression. Troy says breaking black smoke signals that the College of Mullahs has not reached a decision on the new Ayatollah today. Another play on that joke about picking the Pope. This is an awesome meme drop. These are funny. The next Ayatollah should be a woman of color. Joe Biden, what an asshole. The vice president. I'm gonna look. I'm not kidding here. My next vice president, she's gonna be a woman of color. Not the most qualified person. I'm just gonna pick a woman of color. Like I'm Harvey Weinstein on the casting couch. I gotta look. No joke. I'm just trying to pick a central casting, like casting a fishing line. Gotta hook him in. Gotta get a nice slimy one. Come on, man. People calling him Tucker Carlson at this point. Iran introduces a new Ayatollah. Oh, Tucker. Dave Rubin says, I think we can all agree it would be pretty funny if in response to the attacks, Iran accidentally blew up Tucker's new house in Qatar. Woo, man, Tucker's getting dragged. Who did this? Here's Marco Rubio after becoming the leader of Iran once the dust settles. What is the song that's playing there. I forget the song. Does anyone know it from that meme? Some TV show with John Hamm. That meme's everywhere. And I sang it as a joke the other day, but now I can't hear it in my head. Oh, well, that's a good drop. You should follow Communism Survivor. There's the song. Baby, turn the lights off.
Intensify.
All right.
Intensify.
Let's go to a news report here. U.S. CENTCOM Commander Brad Cooper confirms. Well, let's get an update on how things are going with the military operation in Iran. Iran so far away.
You may have heard the president say just a little while ago that we have sunk or destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now up over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And as we speak, it's on fire. The president gave us another task: to raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industrial base. So we're not just hitting what they have, we're destroying their ability to rebuild. And so as we transition to the next phase of this operation, we will systemically dismantle Iran's missile production capability for the future, and that's absolutely in progress. This is going to take some time, but our forces are well supplied, as the secretary said, and we are absolutely ready to prosecute this mission decisively. Our combined joint forces have relentlessly destroyed Iran's air defenses over the past few days, and they've continued hunting for more systems to kill. Our air defenders are operating at the very top of their game. I couldn't be prouder, shoulder to shoulder with our partners in the region, in many cases, providing the most integrated air defense network in Middle East history. We are fighting to win. Through combined U.S. and Israeli combat power, we will continue to decimate intensified. You may have heard the president say just a little while ago that we have sunk or destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now up over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly
Did this one reset?
the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And as we speak, it's on fire. The president gave us another task: to
As we speak, it's on fire.
raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industrial base. So we're not just hitting what they have, we're destroying their ability to rebuild.
That's what's happening. Yeah, I think we got very spoiled with Venezuela, a 2-hour operation, and it was done. Iran is a very large place, and they, when Obama's giving them pallets full of cash so that they can fund Hamas to wage regional and global terror campaigns. There's a lot to take out.
And so as we transition to the next phase of this operation, we will systemically dismantle Iran's missile production capability for the future, and that's absolutely in progress. This is going to take some time, but our forces are well supplied, as the secretary said, and we are absolutely ready to prosecute this mission decisively. Our combined joint forces have
I think this thing did repeat, right?
relentlessly destroyed Iran's air defenses over the past few days, and they've continued hunting for more systems to kill. Our air defenders are operating at the very top of their game. I couldn't be prouder, shoulder to shoulder with our partners in the region, in many cases, providing the most integrated air defense network in Middle East history. We are fighting to win.
Okay. Yep. That was yes, that was exactly the point that it started over. But look, is this going to be a debacle? Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe not, maybe so. Cautiously optimistic. There's a mission. It's going to be executed quickly, relentlessly, overwhelmingly, and then concluded. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that 13 more ships taken out in the last 24 hours. 30 plus Iranian ships and a drone ship the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. All right.
Intensified.
Peace through strength, hopefully. This guy, now, I don't know his background. I thought I was following. Who is this? Hustle bitch. I don't know what that is, but I'll follow. I don't know who this dude is, but ABCI View. Oh, that's funny. He's got a shirt like, I'm a pepper, you're a pepper, I'm a Dr. Pepper too, or something. I'm a prepper. He's talking about Bill Gates and others who have all these doomsday bunkers. This is the man who builds apocalypse shelters for the elites. A luxury bunker builder goes on camera giving a tour of one of his underground bomb shelters while naming some of the powerful clients he says are preparing to go underground. Yeah, the number one rule of providing these clandestine underground bunkers and shelters is don't spill the beans. If you want more clients, you better not. Well, what do they say in the Iranian military? Loose lips sink ships.
Zuckerberg, Tate Brothers, Kardashians.
How many does Bill Gates have?
He's got 11.
He's got 11 bunkers.
You'll see how tall my bunker is. Now, normally you would think a bomb shelter is about this tall, about 7 feet tall, but look how tall mine are. This is my fat boy.
Oh, wow. Gee, it's like an apartment.
It's bigger than a New York apartment.
Wow.
We can put 2 of these together, 3
Would you rather have an Earth ship or one of these? How about both?
of these.
Put this underneath an Earth ship.
Tate Brothers got 6 of these put together.
6?
Yeah, and as he says, he's going to have stripper poles.
Hopefully the Tate brothers locked themselves in there and they can't find the key.
And if you're curious what it costs, it's only $400,000.
So if the Tate
I mean, that's not bad considering the ridiculous price of housing.
brothers bought 6 of these, that's nearly 3 million. Well, that's...
Well, 3.9.
I
Yeah.
hope you got a deposit.
Wealthy people are not cutting any corners. Okay, imagine this. You're building a house and you have a secret passage. It opens up and it reveals a staircase or a hatch that leads down to a private bunker. So making houses with secret passages through secret walls, with secret bunkers, is just a very in thing. When I started making the bunkers in 2011, people put the odds of seeing a civil war or a World War III in their lifetime at about 1%. Right now, it's over 50%. Zuckerberg, Tate.
Yeah, I think we're going to put a GoFundMe together so that we can create one of these. Early in the pursuit, in The Princess Bride, who came out in 1987, Inigo says, "Are you sure nobody's following us?" Vizzini says, "As I told you, it would be absolutely, totally, and in all in other ways inconceivable." Later, as the man in black gains on them, Vizzini, "Inconceivable, faster!" Fezzik comments on speed, but Vizzini keeps raging. The iconic moment after Vizzini cuts the rope on the cliffs of insanity, expecting Wesley to fall. Vizzini, "He didn't fall. Inconceivable." Inigo Montoya says, "You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means." Vizzini says inconceivable about 5 times total in the movie, including variations like "that would be inconceivable" earlier with Buttercup, each time more emphatically as his plans unravel. The running gag highlights Vizzini's overconfidence and misuse of the word. Inconceivable truly means something that cannot be even imagined or conceived of in the mind, not just surprising or unlikely. Inigo's deadpan correction is one of the film's most quoted lines. Kenneth jumped in off the top rope with a super chat. $20 US. Income receivable. Thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate you, sir. Income receivable. That's one of your favorite impressions that I do. Vizzini. Yeah, but maybe I'll put this 20 right toward my survival bunker. How about that? And I'll put it
Zuckerberg.
underneath the... This is a great post here. Thank you, Kenneth. And everybody, Rumble Rant Super Chats. Thank you so much for the tips. Oilfield Rando says, "I don't know, man. This is just such a good post. I've read it a couple times and it keeps popping up in my timeline. Every time I see it, I will share it. Almost like if you see The Princess Bride on TV when you're scrolling, you stop and you watch. I don't know, man. Seems like wars are super easy when the let me try that again. I don't know, man. Seems like wars are super easy when the objective is to win and not launder $1 trillion to your friends in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area for decades." Sure, sort of.
Saw your husband.
Oh, Hillary is big mad about this. When you saw your husband
in these photos with a young woman being massaged, what went through your mind?
I am not going to speculate.
You didn't have any feelings about young women massaging your husband?
I am not going to offer opinions or speculation about anything that I have no context for and was not there.
I'll give you an example. If I saw a picture with my wife, it's just really hard to be relevant. If my wife saw pictures with me as a grown man hanging out with obviously or close to underage women, regardless if it was before we were married or not, it would be a question. And so what I'm asking you is, did any questions regarding those photographs come to your mind?
I am going to, just as clearly as I can state, say I don't see the relevance of your question, and I am not going to talk about conversations that I had with my family, especially my husband.
Saw your husband. Saw your husband.
Anything come of that, or just remember the dog and pony show? All right, I didn't know that Adele did this. Did you know that Adele did this on the set with Ellen? No idea.
One time where singer Adele let us all know on public television what pizza really stood for.
Adele named 3 names for your lady parts.
A mini moose, a JJ, and a pizza.
Oh, there's a lot of music. Hold on. Jeez, there's a lot of music. Look at that nervous laughter touching her face. Pizza's like somebody. Okay. That's a lot of music, but you see that uncomfortable.
Shows she let that slip on the Ellen DeGeneres.
And look, the background looks like Epstein Island's building.
Show. That's what leads me to believe it could have subconsciously just slipped out, or Adele was purposely trying to blow the whistle.
Pharrell's hat, and I thought I'd pass it around and get some money for the pizza because nobody ever really.
Do you realize how scripted all of this? Yeah, Grillery Clinton, Ellen goes right to Harvey Weinstein for pizza.
What do you have, Harvey? 200. That's a start. That's a start. Let's see. What do you have, John? Would you have 20? Kevin?
These people thought they were invincible. And in many ways they were. And as of now, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of accountability yet, have we? It doesn't mean there won't be. It means we have every right to be frustrated. Kevin Spacey, though, wasn't the person that accused him of a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't he get found unpersoned? You go from Harvey Weinstein to Kevin Spacey, allegedly. Man, you got creep to creep. And Ellen, one of the biggest creeps out there.
That's for you.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Ha 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 ha. Pizza, 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 pizza. Pizza, 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 pizza.
Your stock just went up. You got some money now with pizza.
Who are these people? Pay attention to the people who gave. Wasn't random.
I'll take that. What is that?
Was that Travolta?
Lip balm. Lupita's lip balm. That's worth something.
2015. Peak Obama.
20. You were in 2 pictures. 20. Thank you very much.
Brad Pitt?
All right, that's good. Thank you. Meryl, no, we're fine. We're good, Meryl.
Either
Meryl Streep.
way it goes, based on these Epstein files, we've been able to compile a list of all the code words used and their meanings. This stuff is sick, man. We're going to show you that list and have a discussion. If you want to join, head over to my Patreon page and subscribe.
All right.
Remember that one time where singer Adele let us all know on public?
All right, here's a reminder from Good Guy Violence. Am I following this account? Nope, I'm not. I'll follow it. The only thing that stops bad guy violence is good guy violence. There we go. That's better. Marion thinks she's been clueless on the pizza term. Yeah, I've been on it for like 10 years. Yeah, Podesta and the Epstein files and all of that. These people are sick. And they're very brash. They were very ballsy to just put everything out there. They felt untouchable and invincible. And in a lot of ways they were. Hopefully that doesn't continue. We shall see. But yeah, this post can go out as a shout out to the officers who stopped the attacker in Austin, Texas. The only thing that stops bad guy violence is good guy violence. Remember that.
Congress are not.
All right, Marco Rubio wants to just once again explain what's going on in Iran.
Congress. Our notification, listen, let me explain to you guys this in simple English, okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president made this decision. It was the right decision, and the world will be a safer place when these radical clerics no longer have access to these weapons. You see how they're using them now. Imagine how they would use them a year from now if they had more of these. All right, I got time for one more. Congress.
Okay.
Congress. Our notification, listen, let me explain to you.
And the question kind of starts to become, who will the Republicans run in 28? Is Marco Rubio at the top of the list? He's somewhere on that list. Rubio, Hegseth, JD, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know, man. Oh, I guess it doesn't seem so crazy now, does it? Speaking on Joe Rogan's podcast, I met Eddie Bravo at a comedy show. Got a picture with him. It's on my Instagram. In 2024, Eddie Bravo talks to Joe Rogan about a crazy conspiracy theory that the people on the Epstein list would rather start World War III than go to jail for being the creeps that they are.
I think everything that's going on right now in the world is linked to Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. I think
everything?
I think everything.
Man. Trump shit, everything?
Everything. The people that are on the list would rather, like if they had a choice, you want to go to jail for this shit as a pedophile? Or would you rather have World War III? Would you rather have fucking civil war? Would you rather have a fake alien invasion where the world changes, like the whole world changes right away? Where would you go? Would you rather go to Guantanamo Bay? Would you rather go to prison? Or would you rather have World War III, Mad Max, alien invasion? That's what I think. World War III would save them. Alien invasion would save them. And a civil war will save them. So they want all that shit, dog.
Anarchy.
They want all that. They want complete chaos so they don't go to jail. That's what I think. I think everything that's going on right now in the world is linked to Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. I think
everything?
I think everything, man.
I mean, I know Joe's kind of being facetious there. Like, come on, everything? Like, thanks, Obama. My cereal got soggy. Thanks, Obama. We always say that with the Jews. Oh, it's the Jews that did that. The Jews made it rain today. The Jews made me lose my job. The Jews did that. You hear it all the time. People can blame Trump for everything, blame Epstein for everything, blame Obama for everything, blame the Jews for everything, blame God for everything. You know, people fall into their blame everyone, blame whoever for everything. But man, Eddie Bravo, he doesn't literally mean everything, but he means a lot of these big things, and kind of seems like he was onto something, doesn't he? Wasn't quite the kook that some people made him out to be. That's the thing. The difference between being a kook and being proven right can be a couple days, weeks, months, or years. But I have a famous quote that one of my buddies throws back in my face. I mean, he quotes it to me. It doesn't like throw it back at me like I got you, but it's more like, he'll bust me on you know, I'll have recreational conspiracy theory beliefs. I don't know if it was Scott Adams that said that, recreational conspiracy theory, but I like the term. You know, whether it's talking about Big Mike or talking about Project Blue Beam, that we're going to get fake aliens real soon, or, you know, I mean, there's a million things. Recreational beliefs. It's like, I believe it to the extent of, I believe that it could certainly be possible. Would I wager a bet on it? No. Am I going to stake my reputation on it? No. Emmanuel Macron's wife, husband. Candace Owens staked her entire reputation on it. Has she proven herself right? I don't know that you could say that. But the quote that I say is, my lack of evidence doesn't make it false. My lack of evidence doesn't make it false, because I'll talk with my buddy and be like, primary source, what do you show me? What are you talking about? I go, I can't show you anything. I've been observing and I've been consuming data points for decades, sir. Why? I've been consuming data points for decades. That's a good phrase too. Data points for decades. I like how that flows. Maybe I can I am a model of a modern major general out of these phrases that I'm jotting down. Data points for decades. All right, Dave here says this. Let's entering manhood. Not following this. I'll give it a second. All right, here's another good one. We're talking about Eddie Bravo. Here's another recreational conspiracy theory. Think about it. They removed CD, DVD drives from devices. Why did they do that? They made physical media harder to buy and harder to use. They removed expandable storage from phones. They pushed us into streaming subscriptions. They made always online normal. They made unlimited internet necessary. Then slowly raised the price. Is it all just a happenstance? Just kind of how modern society decides it's going to go in that general direction? Or is it all part of the plan? Is it all because of Epstein? Is it all because of Obama? Is it all because of the Jews? Is it all because of the aliens? I wonder. But I really detest the lack of physical media. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to go on Netflix. Data points north when aroused. Up to Northern David. Nice. I'm not a fan of constant streaming. Streaming service should be the Library of Alexandria. Literally anything, if it's been created, let me click it and let me watch it. Oh, we don't have that title. Fuck you mean you don't have that title? It's all digital files. Put them up. Put up your dukes. They should be put up there. It should be the Library of Alexandria, a copy of everything. Alexandria, a copy, Cortez. And even when you're paying $11.99 a month, I mean $13.99 a month, I mean $17.99 a month, I mean $21.99 a month. Remember when we got rid of cable and it's like, oh, this is so much better. Now we don't have to waste all this extra money on cable. And you're like, everything's on a different platform. I don't know how to find any of my favorite sporting teams. I don't know how to watch the games. Let me just click the thing and watch the thing. You're going to sell me Coca-Cola and Ford trucks on whatever I watch. Just monetize it. If I have a Netflix or a Hulu or a Disney Plus or a Peacock and I'm giving you all these free advertisements. Amazon Prime. I am Amazon Prime. No, that's Optimus Prime in the Transformers movies. Just let me watch whatever I want to watch. But that's a good conspiracy theory, recreational belief of mine. And it's also a plot point of the Moon Saloon script. Physical writings have disappeared, or have they? They've almost disappeared. But there's a war on for the written word, because when everything's digital, you can blip. It blips and it changes the definition of things. Remember when they tried to change the definition of the word vaccine? Remember when Bill Clinton tried to change the definition of what the word is? That's why you write things down. You have a record. We were talking about keeping a journal and why it's important. I feel like I drove through the night. I don't think I slept after that Oscars. And I went right out to Taos, New Mexico the next day. And I mean, just to go from bartending the Vanity Fair Oscar party at the Sunset Tower Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard, or the Sunset. Sunset, I think. And then to go out into the middle of nowhere and off the grid home in the dust. Month and a half later, I had to be clean shaven for the event, and I just had this big bushy beard. I'm like, "Grr." Huge swing. Anyway,
This is so unfair.
all right.
This is
The story of kid abuse has never been more.
this is so infuriating to me. This is so.
It's never been more front and center. And it's tougher and tougher for people to run and hide from it. I'm very appreciative of that. It's disgusting that we have to have these conversations, you know, and people like Tim Tebow, they didn't like he was speaking out too much and, you know, pious, or why are you taking up all these causes or whatever. But like, history's proven he was onto something, and we need to expose this stuff. Tim Tebow, brace yourselves for this clip with Laura Ingraham. This guy's trying to battle the demons, you know, so he needs our prayers of protection. Those the spiritual forces of angelic protection are watching over him, and the rest of us trying to do something good on this diabolical planet. Here's Tim Tebow with Laura Ingraham.
So infuriating to me. It's so heartbreaking. Some of these kids are barely out of diapers.
Oh, a lot of them aren't.
I mean, what needs to happen to stop this and to track down the identity of those perpetrators and the victims?
A whole lot needs to happen. I would say number one is that we got to create a bigger army that is fighting this. Right now at C3, the Cybercrime Center, they're just some of the best in the world, but there's only 10 victim identification specialists there. And you're telling me that it's 10 people's job to identify 89,000. That is impossible for them to do. And they're the best. I was there this morning. They're incredible. I love them so much. But we got to create a bigger army that is trained with the right technology and equipped to be able to fight against this evil, because it is one of the fastest growing crime types in the world. A few years ago when we were testifying, that number was at 57,000. Now it's at 89,000. And that's with thousands of boys and girls that have been identified with the amazing law enforcement and the NGOs and nonprofits that are working against it, and it's still that high. And that's just one database. That's just ICSA database from Interpol. There's also CADE, there's Australian, there's HSI database, there's FBI database. There's so many databases, and one thing we also need to do is have them work together so that they can have an international treaty that leads to a deconfliction, so you can actually get all the ground truth.
Do you feel that God is calling you to fight at this moment on this, and do you feel the forces against you? Because the closer you get to solving something, the more, in my view, the devil comes at you.
Yes and yes, but I also would believe this would be one of the biggest reasons why I'm created. With the little strength that I have, wasn't to carry a football, to be able to lift up these image bearers of our Creator and bring them to a place of protection, of hope and love. And when people actually really see the boys and girls that go through this, you can't never unsee it. And so many times when we just talk about, because it makes people uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable, but compassion is also uncomfortable. I do not believe that you can have a life of comfort and compassion at the same time, because compassion literally means to be moved from your most inward parts. It is uncomfortable, but we have to be willing to be uncomfortable one day so that these boys and girls can be comfortable.
This is so infuriating to me. It's so heartbreaking. Some of these kids are barely out of diapers.
Oh, a lot of them aren't.
I mean, what needs to happen to stop this and to track down the identity of those perpetrators and the victims?
A whole lot needs to happen. I would say number one is that we got to create
something important to be aware of. These stories were not mainstream. They were not out in the open, receiving this much attention ever before. Remember, Trump was asked about, you know, there's this conspiracy theory of Q, or you're fighting a cabal of satanic pedophile cannibals. And he's like, is that supposed to be a bad thing? Under Clinton, Obama, Biden, this stuff wasn't like it is right now. It's all in our faces, and we're forced to confront it. And so I just can't believe things are this bad in so many places. But I do have a little bit of hope that we're getting to the bottom of some of this stuff. I don't know, fingers crossed. It's just, oh, there's a good point. If you're anti-ICE, you're pro-human trafficking. Hundreds of thousands of kids shuffled into America under the cover of night, into God knows what horrific situations because of Biden, Obama's third term.
This is so infuriating.
There's a lot of music in here, but it's a 13-year-old video in a technology.
This is the next generation of surveillance for the first
that Americans should understand.
Government to show the basic capabilities.
13 years ago, he shows you how you can track everybody in real time.
Designed the new sensor known as Argus with 1.8 billion.
Yeah, there's music, and I can't play too much of this, but this is what they told you about 13 years ago.
Resolution camera. Argus.
And they can't show you, it's too confidential, but this guy calls it basic tech 13 years ago. Yeah, if they're telling you about it now, it's already become obsolete. 13 years ago, that technology was 30 years old. I can't imagine what they actually have now. Military tech is 50 years ahead. You should watch this. It's a very interesting video. Make sure you're following us. Is everybody following us on Instagram? And if you don't have an Instagram account, could you create one to follow us? We're like 20 follows away from being able to go live on Instagram. We want to do that if possible. It's worth the watch. I can't get a copyright strike for playing it. Oh yeah, John Kirikow. He's everywhere now, just like Mike Benz.
Put anything in a text message.
Never put anything in a text message.
At the CIA on our very first day, they...
Too much music. Former CIA. I love that phrase because you're never former CIA. If you're an intelligence official, you're forever. Just like if you're a Marine. You're never a former Marine. You're always a Marine. Became widely known publicly after discussing the CIA using waterboarding during a 2000s era interrogation. Pled guilty to a count related to disclosing classified info. Served prison time. Said he was exposing wrongdoing while critics argue he violated national security laws. Became a writer and a public speaker focusing on government transparency, intelligence, ethics, whistleblower protections. Cases often cited in debates about secrecy versus accountability in national security matters.
That we would be ashamed to see on the front page of the Washington Post.
So never put anything, they told him on his first day, never put anything into a text message that you would be ashamed to see on the front page of the Washington Post. For what it's worth, that's what they're covering. That's what they're tracking. Every single thing. Just so you know. Now, as we are going to deal with the fake alien invasion, maybe fake, maybe not. Graham Hancock talking with Piers Morgan. I love this topic. Raiders of the Lost Ark. What a fun fictional movie, or is it?
They ever let anybody go in and look at it? Because why won't anybody be allowed into the Kaaba in Mecca? Because it's the most sacred place as far.
This is Graham Hancock talking with Piers Morgan about, and by the way, speaking of Piers Morgan, I might have met him at that event, at that Oscar event that I was just telling you about. I don't recall which year I spoke with him. But I can tell you it was right when he was pushing all that anti-gun stuff, and I told him I completely disagree with you on your stance on the Second Amendment. But I appreciate the fact that you're having the conversation on your show every night. He said, oh, well, I appreciate that. I think we should have more conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you. And he put his hand out and extended. We had a handshake over that. It could have been the same event. That's interesting. Anyway, this is about Ethiopia in the Ark of the Covenant.
As far as the Ethiopians are concerned. Is there anyone alive who's ever seen it? No. No. Apart from the Guardian of the Ark. And the Guardian of the Ark, and I've met several of them, They all get ill. This is another thing that intrigued me. They get cataracts over their eyes. Why? They say the ark caused it. I asked specifically through a translator how. And they do it till they die? And why did the ark cause this to you? And he just said the ark is a thing of fire. And that was the moment when this story really got its hook into me. The absolute honesty with which that person spoke, and the feeling that he was in the presence of some awesome power. Intrigued me. I'm offering this as an alternative point of view. No, and I'm backing up, supporting. No, I get it. I get it. But I might not be right. The Ethiopians might not be right. Here's my point about you, which I didn't know what to make of you the first time until I interviewed you, and afterwards I said it seems completely reasonable to me. I mean, you might not. Everything you're saying might be completely wrong, but you don't pretend otherwise. Yeah. What you're saying is there are a set of circumstances here which, if you interpret it like this, could lead us to this. And there's this fascinating place, heavily guarded, which has all this history. And it could be, logically, that is where the Ark of the Covenant lies. Why don't they ever let anybody...
Watch the Ancient Aliens series. I love it. Our co-host, Mike Barra, he's been a guest on Ancient Aliens a bunch, and we will come back with another episode of Strictly Football with myself, Mike Barra, Ezrael Robinson, and Jim Mitchell on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, brought to you by the New American Media. We'll have an episode maybe next week about the Combine, about free agency, and maybe a draft preview show for all you football fans out there.
The Iranian...
This is 1980, President Trump. I don't know who he's talking to, but this is President Trump, 46 years ago, talking about the Iranian situation as a case in point.
The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous. That this country sits back and allows a country such...
That was Jimmy Carter.
...such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror. And I don't think they'd do it with other countries. I honestly don't think they'd do it with other countries.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes. I don't think there's any question, and there's no question in my mind. I think right now would be an oil-rich nation, and I believe that we should have done it, and I'm very disappointed that we didn't do it, and I don't think anybody would have held us in abeyance. I don't think anybody would have been angry with us, and we had every right to do it at the time. I think we've lost the opportunity.
Donald, would you have wanted to be one of those men to have gone to Iran, and taken those fellows out?
No, I wouldn't have wanted to be, but I would have done it.
Would you?
Absolutely.
But if the phone rang right now and someone from the Selective Service had said, Donald, we're taking every young man 34 years of age, we're sending him to war, would you go to war?
No, I don't see a war. You see, the war this is not a Vietnam situation, fortunately. And I think a lot of it has to do with this country and the fact that this country is not more involved in terms of setting policy in that area. I think this country is responsible for that war by its own weaknesses. I don't think you'd have this war if they, again using the other word, if we were respected, properly respected as a country and as a people and as a nation. I don't think that you would have the war going on right now between Iran and Iraq. I don't think that Iran would have our hostages for 10 minutes. If they respected this country, I don't believe they would have our hostages for 10 minutes. The Iranian situation is a case in point.
Love him, hate him, indifferent. I mean, that was a much more measured Trump. I think he learned on reality TV and the WWF, WWE showmanship. That was a very somber interview and pretty consistent. That Jimmy Carter malaise and that weakness on the global stage, they wouldn't have done that if they had a proper fear and respect, if we had any sort of presence in that area. And we didn't. And they held Americans. Smart even back then, yeah. Marion, Trump was right about everything, even then. That was 1980. 1979 is when the Islamic supremacists stole that country, and started abusing their people. What did they butcher? 35,000 protesters this past month? Killed 1,000 Americans. Who knows how many terror cell proxies killed how many people? I wonder if we can tally up how many Hezbollah, not Mujahideen, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran-backed fighting forces and attacks. How many lives they've claimed? I wonder if there's a way to... I wonder if Grok would know. How many deaths attributed to the Islamic supremacist regime of Iran since 1979? How many lives have they collectively taken? Let's see if Grok is able to come up with a number. It's partially an unanswerable question. But I'll ask artificial intelligence anyway, see if it can tell me a number, or if it's going to back out. Oh my God, 120,000 executions since 81? That's just locally, not the stuff they've exported. They're searching all the sites looking. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend, drop us a Rumble rant tip or a super chat tip, and subscribe to our monthly sponsorship on Rumble, YouTube, or Patreon if you appreciate the program. Execution. Well, okay, it's still like adding. There's no single universally agreed upon 120,000 executions. That's all it came up with? Wow. I'd love to get... Oh, it's still thinking. It's spitting out more data. 40,000 protest suppressions. 10,000 sponsored terrorism. It's a lot of death. Yeah, President Trump, man, that was a very measured statement there. I do love when we get these videos and you ask somebody of different lineage. This is a Vietnamese grandmother. I think the son is tricking her here, messing with her. Take a listen.
Oh, really? Well, why? What do you think about Donald Trump?
I love Donald Trump. He's strong.
I love Donald Trump. He's strong. Scott Adams would famously say, all you need to know about President Trump is when he's given the choice between several different options, he will choose the strongest option every time. That's a pretty decent synopsis if you're just trying to throw it onto a sentence or a bumper sticker. But she likes President Trump because he's strong.
He said he'd do it, he'd do it.
He say he's going to do it, he'd do it.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't like him?
No, I voted for Joe Biden.
You're crazy.
You're crazy. Yeah, a Biden voter would be crazy.
Yeah.
Never was it.
And then
she grabs the stick that she's stirring with. It turns into a weapon. It's like she could stab him in the neck with it.
I voted for Kamala.
Never vote for Democrat. No one.
Never fall for Democrat or never vote for Democrat. No one.
They asshole.
You don't like Kamala?
They asshole. Hey, China, they asshole. They asshole.
Kamala?
No, she a cuckoo.
She a cuckoo.
Smarter than her.
I'm smarter than her.
Oh, really?
Look like Dad walked in from the other room like, what are you doing riling up Grandma? What are you doing? MAGA Grandma energy. He says he'll do it, and he actually does it.
Oh, really?
I guarantee you the people in that border that people are so happy that those assholes are done. And it's not done. It's not done. There's plenty more to go. I hope it's as quick and decisive as possible and that it turns into something good. We don't know. But man, just addition by subtraction. Dave Chappelle's skits hold up. They are timeless.
You win.
Trump after bombing Iran and kidnapping the leader of Venezuela within a couple of months. Dave Chappelle talking to the UN.
You have a problem with that? You know what you should do? You should sanction me. Sanction me with your army.
Go ahead, UN. Sanction me with your army.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. I guess that means you need to shut the fuck up. You win.
Dave Chappelle. I like this version of Dave Chappelle. The best.
You win. You have.
I'm sorry. What?
Okay. Based in Malibu, wants to lay it out. What's controversial here?
I'm sorry. Why is it so?
Oh, we're switching to the SAVE Act. I'm sorry. You know, there's a couple key stories floating around. It looks like the Republicans, the rhinos, are blocking the MAGA agenda. And it makes you think about the uniparty that Trump is trying to go up against. And you wonder why certain things aren't happening faster. There's a lot of things at play. There's a lot of threads in this fabric woven together. It's not easy to just pull this thread as I walk away like the Sweater Song. There's a lot of intertwined stuff. But why is leader John Thune not bringing the SAVE Act up for the vote? It makes no sense. This might be the last chance to save this country because a lot of us feel as though they've figured out a way to harvest enough ballots to steal this country. And then they steal our money. Then they steal our freedom. We got a 4-year taste of what Democrats want to do if they get some power. Not particularly an endorsement of the Republican Party, but step one, you got to vote against every Democrat. I think that's where you have to start.
Controversial to want ID and proof of citizenship in order to vote. I feel like that should just be baseline. That shouldn't even be a question. The fact that every time I've gone and voted in California, I never had to show my ID is absolutely ridiculous. I could literally say I'm a whole other person. I could go vote in Beverly Hills, Malibu, Culver City, and all of these other places in California and just say that I'm different people. As long as I have like an address in their name, that's totally fine. Yep. That's such easy information to get. And here's the thing, the Democrats play it off as though, oh, voter ID is racist and some people don't have IDs and blah, blah, blah. Who doesn't have an ID? You need an ID to go to school. So if you're 18 years old, you definitely have like some sort of like school ID, right? You need an ID to get on an airplane. You need an ID to get alcohol, to go into certain places. Like if you go to a bar or a club, you need an ID for that. You need an ID to drive a car, right? Proof of citizenship. Okay, I'm sorry. You should be a citizen of the United States if you're voting in elections in the United States. I'm not going to go vote in an election in Canada, as much as I would love to change the politics in Canada. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a citizen of Canada. The same way non-citizens of the United States should not be voting in U.S. elections. The only reason Democrats push against voter ID is because that's the only way they win. Because then they can manipulate the system by having a bunch of illegal immigrants vote for them because they keep promising them all of these things. Oh, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of you. But the people who are actually taking care of them are the tax-paying citizens. So you get all these people from other countries who do not become citizens of the United States, who are voting in our elections, and it benefits who? The Democrats. And that's how they stay in power. That's how places like California keep getting destroyed, because Democrats keep getting elected because they don't have voter ID or proof of citizenship, and they don't want it. And that is why the SAVE Act is so important. Democrats want to make sure that if it doesn't get passed, that they can take over all of the elections. That is why we need the SAVE Act to get passed, because then we'll actually have fair elections. So don't let them say, oh, it's not a fair election, you know, blah, blah, blah with the SAVE Act. No. That is how we get fair elections. By not having all of these illegals voting. By showing people, hey, this is who I am. I am an American citizen. I am allowed to vote. That is it. So important. The SAVE Act needs to be passed. I'm sorry.
Agree.
I'm sorry. Why is it so controversial to want...
Lose our nation if we don't get that corrected. Hands down. Super obvious. Last exit before we go off the cliff. Hold on, what is this? Oh boy. Let's switch over to our X account. What is this? John just made this. Is Cuba around the next corner or in the near future? Oh man, another one. Here we go.
Hey, Super Squirrel, what should we do next after Greenland? Brian, I was thinking Cuba, so buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be wild. Hey,
I love how esoteric these AI or these animations are. If you watch the show, you know what we're talking about. If you don't,
Super Squirrel, what should we do next after Greenland? Brian, I was thinking Cuba, so buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be wild.
Look at my pupils. I look like Homer Simpson on season 3 when Conan O'Brien was the producer. It's great. Yeah, the super squirrel. We had a self-defense squirrel on an episode a couple days ago. And we were talking about what comes next after Venezuela, Mexico narco-terrorist, and Iranian Ayatollah. What comes next? Probably Cuba. President Trump said we're having good discussions and that they might be able to work out something. Like their whole country it's just been a mess. That is such a paradise waiting to happen. We shall see. The Donroe Doctrine in full effect. Super Squirrel.
Hey, Super Squirrel, what should we do next after Greenland? Brian, I was thinking Cuba, so buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be wild.
And of course, I don't know how buckle up, Buttercup became a catchphrase of mine, but I did say it. And it has stuck. It does work. You talking about Cuba? You talking about Cuba? That's great, John. Thank you for that. All right. Let's go over here and follow us. Shrek Engelman. I mean, right? Shreckelman. I don't know. What's that character's name? Prince something. What's his name? Oh, that's funny. All right. Follow us on X. We're at American_media_. Right here, we have it pinned. It is our Patreon link. You can click there and become a monthly subscriber. We do like 2 posts a month, and it's like $5 a post, so it's like a $10 monthly subscription. If you enjoy what we're doing on Patreon, that's the way to do it. We also have $100 and $1,000 monthly donors available. So, hey, some of you have more money than time. And I put a ton of time into delivering a fun show. And it's taken me 15 years to put this data bank of wisdom and knowledge and entertainment together and computer prowess so that I can be the producer, engineer, on-air talent, researcher, Jamie, and all of the things. So your support is appreciated. You can click it. It's pinned at the top of our X feed at American_media_. That's our Patreon link. All right, I'll watch it one more time. These things just crack me up.
Hey, Super Squirrel, what should we do next after Greenland? Brian, I was thinking Cuba, so buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be wild. Hey.
If people have no context, I love the concept that there could be no context. And people go, what in hell? What's a super squirrel? Why are we Cuba? Princess Buttercup? What are we even? That's Princess Bride. I love it. All right, let's go through X and talk about what people are talking about. Paul Sperry says, breaking, President Biden kicked open the doors to America's nuclear weapons research labs, including Los Alamos, to 28,000 Chinese visitors, as well as 304 Iranian nationals, according to a just-released Energy Department data. I was having a conversation yesterday about how Biden was completely controlled by China. And you look at what's happening, the geopolitical ramifications. 80% of the oil that was sold from Iran was going to China. Now it's not, is it? Venezuela, hey, oil's flowing again. It's almost as if there were a plan and that things are moving in a particular order. And that ICE going to the cities, the major cities where a lot of these cartel members and invaders had congregated, step one would be fishing for bad guys in our big cities. No, that doesn't mean. You had a comment earlier. I was scrolling past. Botanical said they can take out all the war boats and the entire Iranian Navy if they want. But what they did is they ignited a global jihad network. They did not make us any more safe. Maybe so, maybe not. But I don't think we were safer with the Ayatollah controlling those purse strings, making threats, and continuing to wage terror campaigns either. We shall see. Maybe so, maybe not. But that's interesting. Paul Sperry has a lot of good reports. You should follow him at Paul Sperry, RRY_. Tim Young says, I just want to know who on both sides of the aisle Congress is protecting by not exposing where our tax dollars go to settle sexual harassment claims. I assume at least Biden is one, but who on the GOP side? It's got to be someone big in Congress now. I would guess that too. Mike shares this. John Cornyn, who called Trump an insurrectionist for J6, then demanded Trump drop out of the 2024 presidential race for the good of the party. And then he wants his endorsement in exchange for passing the Save America Act and recess appointments. Sorry, that's not how it works, dickhead. Let's take a watch.
I fully expect, unless there's some surprise that none of us know anything about right now, that Joe Biden will be the next president.
Strong words from U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas.
John Cornyn. And it's sort of making me sick that President Trump is considering asking Paxton to step aside in order to quid pro quo. Hey, we'll get the Save America Act, but you got to make sure I stay in office. Fuck you. I don't like this Cornyn guy at all.
Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can. This was all in a call with Texas reporters. Cornyn saying, I think President Trump's time has passed him by.
This old sack of crap saying that.
And he adds, I don't think President Trump understands that when you run in a general election, you got to appeal to voters beyond your base.
Mr. President, I rise today to mark an important milestone for our friend, Senator Mitch McConnell.
Our friend?
Senator McConnell's done it the old-fashioned way.
In bed with the traitor McConnell, they say.
He earned it. He earned this role as our leader and the respect, certainly, that goes along with it.
Mitch McConnell is one of the biggest embarrassments in government. He needs to be 25th Amendmented. If they have term limits for a president, why don't we have it for Congress? If we can 25th Amendment a president, why can't we do it for Congress? Mitch McConnell's not in control of his faculties. He needs to step aside or be removed. A vote of no confidence.
But more than that, he's a rare example of what a senator ought to be.
No, he ought to be the opposite. You don't trust this guy. This Cornyn sucks.
So thank you, Senator McConnell, for your example. Thank you for your mentorship and for your friendship.
Just a few weeks into our partnership as leader and whip,
Texas.
John presented me with a birthday gift. He'd framed and autographed a picture of ourselves.
You know, I can be. I said Senator John Cornyn, flattery will get you everywhere. Yeah.
Just an ordinary, not particularly glamorous shot of the two of us.
And I've passed more legislation, more bipartisan legislation than any other member of the Senate. That's not a mistake.
Yeah, that's you being a Democrat, a Republican in name only.
Because I reach out to people like Kirsten Sinema from Arizona, even Mark Warner from Virginia.
And then there was his handwritten message. Happy birthday, Mitch. I've got your back. And how fortunate I've been to be reminded every single day since that John Cornyn meant exactly what he said.
Yeah, that is blinking red lights. That is a huge warning sign. Massive red flags.
I'm going to bring this up as well. Liz Cheney, you'd be hard to find somebody more conservative in Congress than Liz Cheney.
That globalist Cheney. Oh, when is she going to get hers? She was a part of the grand conspiracy. I'm just so tired of waiting. Where are the arrests? Where are the indictments?
Perpetuating the big lie is an attack on the core of our constitutional republic. Is she right?
Well, I believe Joe Biden won the election, and President Trump had about 60 different lawsuits that were unsuccessful.
Why were they unsuccessful? That doesn't mean that the courts ruled in favor of Biden. It means that none of the courts had the balls to do what they should have done. They all said, or most of them said, we don't have standing. We can't do this case. We can't hold this. We don't have standing. Yes, you do. When you're in a partnership with 49 other states, what happens in your state impacts everybody. Of course you have standing. None of the judges had the balls to do the right thing.
And changing the outcome. But there's no question in my mind about the outcome of the last election.
No question in his mind that Joe Biden's the most popular presidential candidate of all time. Sure, pal.
Thank you for making all of us look better than any of us deserve.
You're welcome for making yourself look better than us deserve. You did write an autographed picture of just an ordinary picture of us, because it reminds me that John Cornyn and Liz Cheney, we're the ones that control this country.
Thank you for always having all of our backs.
And we should not dictate from Washington, D.C. what sort of weapons they can get access to. We should let them make the decision and provide them everything they need in order to defend themselves and their country and defeat Vladimir Putin.
Prosecutors across the country are refusing to enforce laws that we already have. So if you're the United States Senate, if you're John Cornyn from Texas, supposedly free state of Texas, you'd probably want to do something about that. But no, John Cornyn has decided to take guns from lawful gun owners.
That's a non-starter.
And if there's one reason you vote Republican, it's to prevent that. So it's not surprising that John Cornyn is very unpopular with Republican voters. Watch his reception today at the Texas Republican Convention. Listen for the boos.
How popular is this guy in Texas? What is Texas doing? The money machine keeps him there?
As ABC 13's Erica Simon explains, the boos all because of Cornyn's role leading bipartisan talks on gun reform.
Do you think the January 6th attack on the Capitol would have happened without the influence of Donald Trump claiming election fraud?
There's been appropriate investigations by the FBI and the Department of Justice, a number of convictions, and I think that's the way that we deter this in the future.
Senator, what's your biggest concern for Texas right now, and what are you pushing for to deal with it?
I've been encouraging everybody to do what I've done, which is to get vaccinated, and to me that is a much better solution than getting the virus. But as I said, my advice to anybody who will listen and for anybody I care about is to get vaccinated, take advantage of.
John Cornyn. The rumor has it that Trump is leaning toward endorsing him. For the life of me.
That's the best thing you can do for yourself and your family and
all right, the music is getting loud.
Your future.
I'm a Republican man.
I'm a Republican man.
As soon as I was eligible to take the vaccine, I did it.
And now I'm rapidly deteriorating in front of your eyes. It's very unrelated. It's completely unrelated.
Been trying to get rid of him for years. All eyes on Texas. Carolyn Wren says 1.23 million Texas voters showed up in the primary and voted against John Cornyn, a four-term incumbent U.S. senator. And the press and D.C. establishment are trying to spin that as some sort of overperformance. It's absolutely absurd. Carolyn Levitt says 57% of Americans want all illegal aliens sent home. Heritage Foundation says the only acceptable number of illegal aliens in the U.S. is 0. Everyone here illegally must go home. Foreign-born number in millions. Foreign-born in America. The number and share of foreign-born people are higher now than at any time in American history. 16% of America are people that are not born in America. That is not how you build culture. That's how you destroy culture. Trump talks about Cornyn like he does about Bondi. They do such a good job Explain that one to me. That just doesn't make sense to me, John. Matt Van Swole says the only possible explanation for why the GOP are not passing the SAVE Act is that they are hoping to lose the midterms so they can be an opposition party. I cannot see another possibility. Trump won with a massive mandate, and the GOP have largely done nothing for us. Why? Rick Scott wants the SAVE Act, and he wants it now.
Whose country is this? It's ours.
Mine.
Okay? We want a secure election. You have to have an ID to vote. You have to be an American citizen registered to vote. That is the Save America Act. Call your elected officials and say you want them to pass the Save America Act.
Please call your elected officials. Scott Pretzler says, let's have real talk. Voters gave Republicans all three branches of government in 2024. The House is doing its job. President Trump is doing his job. The Senate is sitting on legislation. If the Senate does not get serious about passing legislation, it will be retiring dozens of House members this November. Pass the Save America Act. Here's John Cornyn in 2023.
You've said that you think it's time for the Republican Party to move on from President Trump. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, in politics, unless you can win an election, you're pretty much irrelevant. And I just think it's critical that, given the direction of the country now under the Biden administration, that Republicans nominate somebody who can win a general election. President Trump has a very enthusiastic following among a lot of his base, but one thing I've learned through numerous elections is, yes, that's fine in a primary, but the goal is not just to win the primary, it's to win the general election. And to do that, you have to appeal to a broader range of voters, not just your base. So as a tactical or practical matter, I have concerns about the president's ability to win in November, and I think winning in November is critical.
Does not seem very bright, this Cornyn. Senator Mike Lee, based Mike Lee. Mike Lee says we'll soon be entering the fourth week of Schumer's Department of Homeland Security shutdown with no end in sight. Is it time to invoke the talking filibuster on a DHS funding bill as practice for the Save America Act? Yeah. Darren of Plymouth says psychologist Stanley Milgram found that 80% of the population do not have the psychological or moral resources to defy authorities' order, no matter how illegitimate the order is. Therefore, only 20% have critical thinking capacity, which explains a lot. Context added, the claim is not accurate. Experiments showed 65% of participants continued to administer what they believed were maximum 450-volt shocks to a learner, despite protests, screams, and apparent distress. It means 35% defied authority figure. I mean, if that's accurate, yes. It's easy to understand, address the post-claim, important context. Do you want Leader John Thune to resign? Chicago One Ray asks. He's passed only 38 bills, the lowest in modern history. He allowed a vote in 2 days on WPR, but hasn't brought the Save America Act to the floor. His body language says he's in way over his head. He's not cut out for this. Yeah, I'm just watching his body language. A lot of looking down. What do they got on him?
To keep the government open by voting for a short-term, nonpartisan, clean, continuing resolution, 24 pages long, or they can vote to shut the government down. That's what we're looking at. They, as you all know, have voted during the time they had the majority 13 different times, and when Biden was in the White House, on short-term continuing resolutions, 13 different times. And so it begs the question is what's changed? And I think what's changed is President Trump is in the White House. That's what this is about. This is politics. And there isn't any substantive reason why there ought to be a government shutdown. This is something that has been done routinely, as I said, 13 different times when the Democrats have the majority. But we are not going to be held hostage for over $1 trillion in new spending on a continuing resolution, nor are we going to be held hostage to allow illegals to get free health care in a continuing resolution. These are things that they're demanding as part of their so-called negotiation. Ladies and gentlemen, there isn't anything here to negotiate. This is a routine funding resolution to keep the government open so that we can continue our appropriations work and fund the government in the old-fashioned way.
But you're not doing a filibuster, right? What is the context here? This lady says they were told to label newly arrived illegal aliens as long-term disabled, even for headaches or back pain, so they could get Social Security for life. Once they're classified, that's it. They're set forever. That's exactly what we were told to do. I forget the context of this. I don't have it, so watch it and make your own call. Rick Scott is going to give you the truth about today's jobs report. Our daily troll mentioned the jobs report. Rick Scott says President Trump has done everything possible to bring America back, but radical Democrats are blocking Congress from common sense policy and putting the MAGA agenda in action. To save America, we must cut taxes, slash regulations, balance the budget, and secure our elections with the Save America Act. John Solomon reports that Oversight Committee Chairman suggests criminal referrals are possible in the Minnesota fraud probe. Oh, they better be 100% guaranteed, not just possible. Steve Ferguson asks, is anything going to be done about the Somali fraudsters in Minnesota? OSINT Europe says this picture shows Iranian regime officials disguising themselves in women's clothing to avoid detection by drones while moving through the city. The individual on the left is Yasser Lofouti, a senior commander of Tehran's Basij. Hiding in mosques and wearing the bed sheets. Okay. Democrat Representative Ro Khanna admits the Democrats' first priority will be to do this if they gain power in the House. This is why you don't vote Democrat.
So the ultimate consequence for Trump would be impeaching him. Do you think this rises to the level of impeachment?
Well, he's done so much else that I think rises to the level of impeachment. We can list that in the Bill of Goods. I am one of the people who do think if we win the House, we should impeach him because there has to be accountability.
So the
retire every Democrat. NBC BLK. What? NBC Black? Is there NBC WHT? In the U.S., black women are 6 times more likely to be killed than their white counterparts, troubling new data reveals. In some states, the rate is even higher. For example, in Wisconsin, black women were 20 times more likely to be killed. I am yes, you or no says, who's killing them? What does Grok say about this? 2024 NBC BLK. Uh-huh. 93% of black female victims with known offenders are killed by black males, mostly intimate partners, over 50%, or acquaintances with firearms as primary method. So something like that is kind of put out there without context to maybe make white people or non-black people look really bad, but it's 93% being killed by black spouses, partners. President Trump discussing Iran.
And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed. And now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. You're going to have a chance after all these years to take back your country. Accept immunity. We'll give you immunity. And we'll be giving you really the right side of history, because that's what it is. So you'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed death. And I don't want to see that. They don't want to see it either. We also urge Iranian diplomats around the world to request asylum and to help us shape a new and better.
The general says, hold on, Trump says we'll bring in any Iranian refugees that aid the U.S. military. Trump complained about the Afghan invaders and now is doing the same thing. This is how we got invaded with people from the Middle East. What is he doing here? Kosher puts this out. Manchester, UK. says Islamists in armbands are patrolling the streets and chasing people down with horses, and police are letting them.
Apparently, they're allowed to chase people with horses. They just chase someone with an horse. They just chase people with horses. Are they part of Greater Manchester Police? How come they're not being nicked for chasing them people with horses then? They've just been chasing people with horses, officer. Yeah, these have been.
UK's been conquered.
Chasing people horses.
Morning, Saga.
Whatever they want. Whatever they want, clearly.
Yeah, start making up.
If they're doing clear, yeah. Clearly.
Jen, I told you. Let's get going.
They should be being nicked. Should be being nicked, officer. They've just been chasing people on horses. Why are they not being nicked?
With the greatest respect, what do you want me to do and pull him off the horse?
Yeah. What? If they had a Union Jack on, they'd be off the horse.
Well, I'm not going to pull someone off the horse, mate.
If they had a Union Jack on, you would.
That's from the Restore Britain account. Hunter Eagle Man says Congress's week of work. Number 1, voted to hide their sexual misconduct reports. 2, voted not to fund or pay our TSA, DHS, and Coast Guard. 3, voted not to further investigate Ilhan Omar's immigration status. What the fuck is that about? What do we think about that? Good Lord. Reporter asks, should Virginia cooperate more with ICE after Stephanie Minter was stabbed to death in Fairfax by an illegal alien with 40 prior charges? Here's Virginia Senator Mark Warner.
Hi, Senator Warner. I have a question pertaining to ICE. So Governor Spanberger is telling ICE they need to obtain judicial warrants to detain illegal aliens, but we recently had a case here in Virginia where an illegal immigrant with an extensive and violent criminal history has been released back into the community several times due to this rule and has now stabbed and killed another woman. In cases like this, where is the line, and should Virginia cooperate with ICE more freely in order to protect the lives of Americans?
Well, listen, of course, if someone has a history of violent crime, they should be arrested and deported if they're here illegally. But I'll point out that over 80% of the individuals that have been picked up by ICE in Virginia as they try to hit their daily quotas have had no criminal history or record other than coming into our country. And many of them...
coming into our country illegally should be the grounds.
Even having come in undocumented, we're going through a
illegally
process that
the process means take them out and they can come back in. They can reapply. They don't just get to come back in. They get to go undergo the full background check, and there should be a penalty for it.
Bring about legal status. So they're trying to play by whether the amnesty rules or other rules that were put forward.
Oh, they're playing all right. They're playing us for fools. Should Virginia cooperate more with ICE after Stephanie was ended by an illegal with 40 prior charges? Over 80% of the individuals who have been picked up by ICE have no U.S. criminal history. The people that do this, it's infuriating. And Wokeness says Damon Johnson set someone on fire in New York while out on parole. 131 prior arrests. Matt Walsh says something like 70 to 75% of Americans are never arrested in their lives. Another 20 to 25% are arrested once, usually for something minor. Almost all the arrests, especially for violent crimes, are coming from about 5% of the population. If all of those people were just thrown in a cage forever and forgotten about, the rest of us could live in peace. That's a fact. You could essentially solve the crime problem almost completely by arresting the tiny minority of the population that commits basically all of it. Instead, we let them roam the streets, continually release them back into the public, and watch helplessly as they kill, rape, and destroy, even though nobody on earth can explain why this system makes sense, or is fair, or is moral, or is just. Let me see why Ken Paxton is trending. He better not have dropped out. Asking President Trump to endorse Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton is the clear choice.
We just sent a message loud and clear to Washington. We are not going to go quietly. And we are not going to let you buy the seat. No way. Now let's talk about what happened. What just happened. John Cornyn spent around $100 million trying to buy this seat. Yeah, baby. We spent around $5 million. Change was on the ballot and change won. Texans want new leadership. They want someone with a proven record of fighting and winning for them. And that's exactly what I'm going to deliver.
Not exactly the most charismatic guy, but he seems to be the right choice. Washington Post says Lindsay Halligan faces an investigation by the Florida bar. Tony Segura says the lawfare isn't going to stop. Norm Eisen and Jennifer Rubin are planning on impeaching President Trump and then bringing criminal charges against President Trump, his entire inner circle, and MAGA influencers. No mercy, and you can bet their entire leftist DC grand juries will almost certainly indict, and the judges will be more than happy to give them all the Alex Jones, Tina Peters, Rudy Giuliani, and Jay Sixer treatment. So to I would say to the people who are on the fence or they're out on MAGA please no. Please reconsider this. Step one, we have to defeat the entirety of the Democrat Party. Step two, throw out every rhino. Doing this out of order and doing the Nick Fuentes thing. I'll vote Democrat next in the midterms. Hell no. First up, Lindsay Halligan is facing investigation by the Florida bar for her role in pursuing criminal charges against Trump foes, documents show. The state bar acknowledged the inquiry in a letter last month to the nonprofit Campaign for Accountability, which had called for disciplinary proceedings against Halligan over her conduct in the prosecutions of former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Justice Department has proposed new regulations that would allow it to intervene in state bar disciplinary actions, which it said have become weaponized. Congressman Greg Steube from Florida comments on this. From Politico, House ethics trial for Cherfius McCormick postponed. What is the purpose of the ethics committee if it won't hold members accountable? She was indicted by the DOJ 4 months ago. I filed articles of expulsion immediately. Today, the committee delayed the trial yet again with another continuance. The fact that the ethics committee allowed this after she had months to prepare is absolutely asinine. I meme, therefore I am, put this out and says, video of the Democratic mayor of San Francisco is going viral after he calmly walks away while his security detail was being attacked. Mayor Daniel Lurie is seen watching his security officer struggle with a man, then turning and walking away as the officer is slammed to the ground, hits his head on the pavement, and is left bleeding. This is not. Oh, this is not good.
Where did the mayor go?
He just walks away. Little punk. I guess they'll just walk away if someone attacks you then, huh? You're in this together, right? Zero Hedge reports that 100% of audited Medicaid claims for autism care in Colorado were improper or flawed. It's 100%. Elon says, that sounds high. Gunther says it's a big mistake electing John Thune as Senate Majority Leader nearly 15 months in. 0 election integrity laws passed. Not one secure voting bill. Nothing unacceptable. He is tagged. We called it an absolute mess. NBC reports DOJ shelves the investigation into Biden's auto pen use after it fails to find an applicable criminal statute, source says. Julie Kelly wants you to have context there. For those upset about this, as far as I know now, This is not the fault of Pam Bondi or Jeanine Pirro. This stems from an understanding that a D.C. grand jury, which sits for months, will not bring any indictment sought by the Trump Department of Justice. Activist groups in D.C. have coached potential grand jury members about how to issue no true bills in indictments sought by the Trump Department of Justice. This represents an active operation to sabotage criminal charges against not just elected officials, but those who assaulted and impeded federal officers trying to enforce immigration laws. And the vaunted rule of law? I once sat in a D.C. courtroom and heard the woman next to me brag how her boy, she was clearly not a Trump supporter, was picked to serve on a D.C. grand jury. Another time I was in the security line for D.C. courthouse and heard a woman say it was one of many times she had been called to jury duty. Yeah. I wonder how many times people that play ball keep getting called back and back and back, and I wonder how much they're paid. Jury recycling, both trial and grand jury, is a massive obstacle to this Department of Justice getting anything done in a city of almost all Democrats. No one understands the brazen politicking of the judicial system in D.C., which is another reason why Republicans should shutter the D.C. federal court system. By the way, I asked the Trump Department of Justice months ago how many no true bills were issued during the J6 prosecution, and Julie Kelly never got an answer. Nancy Mace says, yesterday I did what needed to be done. I successfully subpoenaed the Congressional Sexual Harassment Slush Fund records through the House Oversight Committee. I successfully subpoenaed Attorney General Pam Bondi for a deposition on the Epstein files. The House responded by voting overwhelmingly to hide their own misconduct from the American people. Both parties united in one cause, protecting themselves. This is the two-tiered system of justice in plain sight. One standard for the rich, the powerful, and the politically connected, and another for everyone else. Congress demands accountability from every institution in America, except the one it sees in the mirror. Attorney General Pam Bondi says tonight the Justice Department delivered a huge win in the 7th Circuit for President Trump in support of Operation Midway Blitz, President Trump's crucial law enforcement surge into Chicago. President Trump is trying to protect American citizens while local elected officials refuse to do so. Justice Department attorneys were proud to argue this case, and they'll continue fighting and winning for the president's law and order agenda. Nancy Mace says about Pam Bondi, I believe Pam Bondi has been less than truthful with the American people and Congress on the Epstein files. I want to know where the files are that were on her desk because they're not in the hands of Congress. We'll see how that develops. Nancy Mace headed to the Department of Justice where Pam Bondi, well, what's she doing there?
Headed back to the DOJ this morning for a few hours where Pam Bondi can spy on what documents and PDFs I search for and open, including the terms and the words I search for. That'll be fun. I look forward to deposing her very soon.
Spying on the search terms. Hold the line. Our daughters matter, as do the injustices against them, says Nancy. Immigrant visa bans are now in full effect. 75 countries have immigration bans, according to White Paper's Policy Institute. 75 countries have immigration bans on family reunification and some employment-based visas. Unfortunately, this ban does not cover the H-1B, though we encourage the administration to expand it to H-1B, L-1, and other visas. What is this? I like this button. You can click on Grok and it'll explain the post. Ms. Nelly says Professor Anthony Farley of Albany Law School being sued, as well as the School for Racism against a white student. During his course on international children's rights, he declared the founding fathers were worse than Hitler and conservatives seek to conserve slavery, and that the September 11 attacks were unworthy of attention. After asking whether anyone in the class hunted, a white student raised his hand, to which the genius professor remarked, "Of course the guy with the hat hunts," then continued to berate the student for his white clothing. Albany Law School receives $1 million in direct federal funding yearly. Okay, appears to be a real story. Mojtaba Hosseini Khomeini, the Iranian politician, eldest son of Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, who was elected the next supreme leader of Iran, was killed in the U.S. strikes on Tehran. 3:45 and on at 5:55, just 2 hours. Okay. John Cornyn says that the top legislative priority, if reelected, is to give amnesty to certain groups of illegal immigrants in DACA. Who is paying for him? What in the world? Jan Jekielek says you either need to transition your child or you don't get to keep your child. Attorney Aaron Friday says California Child Protective Services can threaten parents who refuse to use their child's preferred pronouns. Elon says those who pushed this evil will pay dearly. We remind you to flee blue cities and flee blue states. Here's that report about declassified documents showing U.S. military released 300,000, roughly, Lone Star ticks made radioactive with carbon-14 across Virginia in the 60s. Then tracked their spread with Geiger counties. What the hell? Yeah, we played you this yesterday. JP Sears says, this one's my favorite. Bill staring at the photo of girls in a hot tub so much that his lawyer has to take it away. Then he fights her to take it back to keep looking. Great optic. Looks like Herbert the pervert.
Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes remaining in the majority's first hour. So I just want to ask you some questions related to the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell.
I can't find the thing I was looking for. Tyler Fisher did a great impression of this. It's on our... Okay. I thought it was on our Instagram. Embattled Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who had an affair with a staffer who later K'd herself, has dropped his re-election bid in Texas's 23rd district. Second Amendment fighter Brandon Herrera is officially the Republican nominee for the deep red districts. Too much music. Darth Powell says, holy F, it wasn't even close. I'm going to tell my kids that the halls of Congress were Epstein Island. 357 to 65, blocking release of congressional sexual misconduct and harassment reports. Like I said, though, don't make me... Yeah, Lake Leon, we need judges to fight back. Exactly. I just wonder how many shakedown efforts of fake accusations will be mixed into that. I'll just put it out there, like I said at the beginning of the show. Jussie Smollett, President Trump, Trevor Bauer, LeBron's, oh, I got vandalized. Oh, yeah, let's see the evidence. There's no evidence. And we cleaned it up. And our security cameras weren't working. You just wonder how many fake claims there would be. And if that's the case, then you could understand why they wouldn't want all of the fake claims out, just like we didn't want all the fake Epstein stuff out, because it's just guilt by association. And that's not necessarily a great thing. Thomas Massey making a lot of noise about this.
You know, Congress has paid over $17 million in hush money for sexual misconduct inside of the offices in these.
Okay. That's not hush money for sexual misconduct. It's hush money for sexual misconduct accusations. Look at Obama, look at Al Sharpton, look at Jesse Jackson, look at the professional shakedown artists who go after athletes, who go after politicians. It becomes more financially viable to settle and resolve things than to drag things out for years in court. That doesn't mean that you're guilty. It means that you've been accused. It's not always a simple answer, perhaps.
Buildings. And what's more is that was taxpayer money, right? The allegation is that President Trump paid $130,000 of his own money. But here in Congress, there may be some on this dais. I mean, I'm for turning loose all of these records. Who in here has had the taxpayer pay for their sexual misconduct charges, the hush money?
Charges, not guilt, but to stop the accusations, to stop the holding somebody by their ankles to see how much you can shake out of their pockets.
I bet there's some over there. There may be some over here. I don't know, but I do know it's taxpayer money, and I do know not a single penny of it has been turned in as a campaign finance expense. Is the FEC going to investigate the $17 million that the Congress has paid to settle, behind closed doors these sexual misconduct allegations?
Allegations, not convictions. There is an important difference there. I just encourage people to remember that.
Congressman, if a complaint were to come to us about it, I'm sure it would be thoroughly investigated.
Yeah, I'll bet, though. Some people, Phil Holloway says some people are saying the Capitol Police are to blame for this retired Marine's broken arm, but it seems like most people blame the retired Marine.
This is wrong, Doc.
I don't want to watch it again. It's pretty brutal. He pushes his hand in the door, and they open the door, and it busts his hand. Ugh, or breaks his arm. George says, I know we're all laughing at Jasmine Crockett, but this James Tallarico guy is pure evil. She was ghetto, but he sounds super demonic. He's the definition of a wolf in sheep's clothing. So, time to draw our attention to this guy. Concerned Citizen says, imagine moving to another country, getting to meet the beautiful future Queen of England, who's gone to all the trouble of wearing a burqa just for you and then refusing her outstretched hand by means of gesture, all live on TV. How weird is that? Just to be invisible in society. Right. Good times. Stephen Miller says it's not only that the West has had decades of open migration, but that it has extended the full voting franchise to migrants. This allows political parties to import their own voters and redistribute the resources of the existing populace. You understand just how bad that is. Todd Starnes, if Senate Republicans really wanted to pass the Save America Act, they could simply remove Majority Leader John Thune from power. But the Republicans won't do that because none of them really want voter ID. It's really that simple. None of them want voter ID. Otherwise, they would have already taken action. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. We also have Rumble Rant and Super Chat tips if you're enjoying the show and want to see us continue our activities. And Wokeness says over 99.5% of the refugees admitted to the U.S. since October were Afrikaners fleeing the South African persecution. And Wokeness says, before you ask, yes, I voted for this. All right. Colin Wright says this will be a total disaster if true. Daniel Roberts wrote a piece saying James Bond 26 will embrace queer storytelling with non-binary actor, according to a rumor. We said, or hear us out, you could just create a new character in a new movie series. TNAM Entertainment. Mark Wayne Mullen. John, what do you think about Mark Wayne Mullen? Chris Menahan says Trump's new pick to lead DHS praised the cap. Well, just listen.
I guarantee you, I don't know for a fact, but I guarantee you he's never had to pull his weapon in a manner like that before.
This is the person that executed Ashley Babbitt.
He was the last person in the world that ever wanted to use force like that.
Because he seemed very kind of eager to do so, actually. That was the only shot fired that entire day. That was an unarmed lady that he executed.
And he wasn't wanting to do that.
It seemed like he wanted to do that.
I know for a fact because after...
You couldn't know that for a fact. You don't know what's in his heart. A man of another race executes an unarmed woman mother? Veteran? I don't know. Maybe there's something deep inside that he was getting some retribution for him. Maybe he's always wanted to. We don't know. So how could he know?
It happened. He came over and he was physically and emotionally distraught. And I actually gave him a hug. And I said, "Sir, you did what you had to do." And I mean that. Unfortunately, the young lady, her family's life has changed. And it was an unfortunate situation that she lost her life and some people lost their loved ones. But the lieutenant's life has also changed too, because if it's the first time you've ever had to use lethal force, that doesn't ever leave you. And it wasn't his choice. He didn't show up to work that day to have to do that. He was doing his job, and he got put in a situation where he had to do his job because
because you had an unarmed woman? I mean, you generally don't shoot unarmed women.
Members still on the balcony. And if you're going to present your weapon in a manner and give commands and they still don't listen and they still approach, you don't have a choice, because either you have to, at that point, discharge your weapon in a manner of self-defense, or that weapon's going to be taken away from you. It's going to be used on you, and it's going to put all of our lives in danger too.
So is that comment discrimination, or I'm sorry, disqualifying? I don't know. Andy No reports a Somali fraudster in Minnesota sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for his role in a conspiracy to bribe a black female juror during a Somali fraud trial. They tried to bribe the juror with $120,000 cash in a bag with instructions to make other jurors think the prosecution is racist. Oh, good grief. Abdul Karim Farah. Only 5 years. Conspiracy to bribe a black female juror during a Somali fraud trial. Who's Dr. P? Gender dysphoria is a made-up. What's going on here? Trans identity. He said that Dr. Andrew Amos said trans identity can't be differentiated from psychosis. A trans woman breastfeeding her son is narcissism. Professor Whittle is a woman pretending to be a man. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. Men orally R-ing babies. Dr. Amos is a hero. Trans woman breastfeeding her son. Oh, this is a guy making a child suck on him. Pedophilia being openly supported and promoted, says Dr. P. We let this depravity get so far because we did not properly understand whom we were dealing with, Dr. P says. All right, there's a lot to unpack here. So check it out if you wish. CC says, hey, this is how I would report that story with Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem was promoted to a new position. Mark Wayne Mullen was promoted to DHS. Stop creating drama. President Trump said he's created a new post, and Kristi Noem is going to head that post. That's going to be in the Western Hemisphere. So I think the announcement's going to come tomorrow, so stay tuned. This whole Kristi Noem was fired thing, or Greg Bovino from Department of Homeland Security was fired, or no, from ICE. I don't know that they were fired. They were moved to different positions. People moved to different positions. If they were fired, but they weren't fired. Possibly promoted. James Woods tells Adam Carolla the worst human being in America is a man named Adam Schiff. He's a horrible, censored liar and a human being. He promoted that Russia hoax, and it was a complete and utter psyop. I would like to see this James Woods interview with Adam Carolla. This would be great. James Tallarico in Texas says, white skin gives me and every white American immunity from the virus, but we spread it wherever we go through our words, our actions, and our systems. We don't have to be showing symptoms like a white hood or a Confederate flag to be contagious. What the fuck is this guy talking about? It is an all-time classic tweet, though. You do not advance this guy. You reject him and fire him immediately. Capiche? Capiche. Dustin Grage reports this. Minnesota State Representative Dave Pinto just said they should be studying the benefit. Just listen to this. Just listen. In his words. Let me not mischaracterize it.
Several of us are on the Public Safety Committee, and yesterday there was a presentation of a group seeking to change how we address organized retail theft. And it actually had not occurred to me to ask, it probably would have been good, to make sure that they would study sort of the benefit of shoplifting and of retail theft. And because perhaps people are relying on that and sort of using that, maybe it's, you know, assisting them in some way. I mean, these folks were describing people violating the law, but I suppose it could be useful to look into that. But ultimately, it's a policy question, right? We do want to make sure when we have a law in place, we're enforcing it. So several.
Perhaps people are relying on shoplifting and retail theft. Absolutely insane. Oh, man. I don't even want to tell you this story. A Florida mother arrested after her boyfriend is accused of tying her 3-year-old daughter with a robe tie and painter's tape before deputies responded on Feb 19 after a report that the 3-year-old was unresponsive, taken to a hospital where she later succumbed. Jarrell Coombs harmed the child and was trying to leave when they arrived. He waited 40 minutes before calling 911. Unreal. Initially arrested for aggravated CA and later charged with homicide. The mother first denied knowing about the abuse. She was just arrested and charged with felony child neglect. Good God. Residents in Ashland, Oregon have come out to protest Donald Trump over striking Iran, even making signs calling to assassinate him. Oh, what a shame. Every one of these people are white liberals way over the age of 70. They clearly sit in front of the news all day and night getting brainwashed. CNN with another fantastic segment.
This, as an
Aisha,
American,
let's talk about Kamala
makes
Harris.
me really concerned.
Let's talk about Kamala Harris and
as
short-term
a
memory.
black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his. Is he going to attempt to exterminate me
Why do you
when
believe
he
that,
gets
Aisha?
elected?
Why do you
Because
believe
he's
that?
damn near said it. That's why, David. That's why.
Because he's
okay, and I'm not
has he
going to
said
be
that, Aisha?
lectured by some white man who has no idea what he's talking about and is trying to rewrite history here.
Aisha,
I
shame-
am
shame on
afraid,
you, Aisha.
as an American,
Aaron.
of a Donald Trump presidency, and his actual quotes
Shame
are
on you,
why.
Aisha.
Because I take him seriously, and I think that he believes what he says, and that is why he is a danger and a threat to America.
Aaron, you can't have a
All right, let me
rational
just say,
discussion
I
if somebody doesn't
appreciate
want to talk
okay.
about topics.
When was that from? I like this button where you can click Grok. Let's tell us when it happened. Kamala Harris hasn't been relevant since the election. I'm guessing this is a year old. I could be wrong. Let's see how quick Grok can give me 2024 panel clip. Okay. I'm not going to be lectured by a white man. Okay. Just a man, just a person. James says DC insiders say Chief Justice John Roberts is considering retirement. Look, I will put on this story the same credibility that I would with several other stories that we discuss. It's okay. We don't, just because we share something doesn't mean we tell you or a share equals an endorsement or that we believe it to be factual. I put zero credibility into this. However, it's an interesting story. It's an interesting rumor. It's the first time I heard it, and man, oh man, do I wish it's true. We said, please be true. This guy has been awful and likely compromised or a traitor. DC insiders, according to this James, who I don't know, says John Roberts, Chief Justice, may be considering retirement. Would you back John Roberts stepping down and allowing President Trump to appoint a true conservative to the Supreme Court? Oh, man, he needs to do a better job than Amy Coney Barrett, who has been terrible. Senate rejects the effort to reopen the Department of Homeland Security in a 51-49 vote. Deplorable. Despite an active threat of terrorist sleeper cells amid conflict with Iran. John Fetterman joined Republicans voting yay. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are traitors and must open DHS now. Stop holding us hostage. This lady who looks like she's out of the Dark Crystal has something to say.
If Republicans were serious this week, we could have funded every agency under the Department of Homeland Security, except for ICE and for CBP. And I will not vote for another dime for these agencies. If Republicans...
Because you're a traitor. RNC Research says Representative Rosa DeLauro is gaslighting you. Democrats know ICE is already funded, but they're refusing to fund DHS, critical agencies like TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard. Anyway, Democrats are putting our national security at risk to grandstand the American people. Democrat nominee for Texas Senate says prison is violence. Hard to imagine a world without prisons. Hard to imagine. Doesn't mean you shouldn't. Boston Herald says Congressman Seth Moulton's illegal immigrant guest at the State of the Union address, who was as recently as this week testified on proposed state law, is named in police reports involving sexual assault in juveniles, police say. Oh, wow. Moulton's State of the Union guest referenced in police reports involving SA and juveniles. Who would have thought? Defiant Els says that 2 climate change activists destroyed Claude Monet's 1900 paintings, and they were acquitted by a Swedish court. It's a recirculated 23 video. They acquitted the 6 at the end of 2025. Non-vandalistic, since the water-soluble paint affected only the easily cleaned glass, not the artwork itself. Okay. That's good info. John Thune wants President Trump to endorse Never Trumper John Cornyn in exchange for getting the Save America Act passed and recess appointments. Thune's been promising both for over a year, and now you're supposed to believe him? Cornyn said the same thing, then blocked Trump from recess appointments. They're liars and cannot be trusted. They both hate MAGA and called Trump an insurrectionist. Pound sand. Nancy Mace asked what happened to the investigation into Ilhan Omar's immigration issues. She informed the reporter that Republicans killed her motion to subpoena the immigration records of Ilhan and her brother. She said, that's Congress for you. Both sides protect the other. Where is the report and investigation into that? It's really getting really difficult to care about America with BS like this happening. We asked her to join us on Agree to Disagree to unpack this rotten Congress. Nick Sorter says the employee of Governor Tim Walz, who keyed 6 Teslas, causing over $20,000 in damage and retaliation against Elon, has been given 1-day suspension from his Minnesota government job. That's it. He's not even being prosecuted. Minneapolis is a failed state. 2-tier justice system. Yeah, we got a problem when in D.C. you won't indict bad people, and in Minneapolis they won't indict bad people. A real big problem. Washington State Majority Leader James Peterson is talking about 13-year-old girls, saying if they're old enough to get pregnant, they're old enough to make their own decisions about what happens with their bodies, and parents don't have the right to change that. That's an easily grossed out thing, and then you think about it and you go, I mean, crap, I don't know. I don't even want to think about that being a valid perspective, but maybe it could be. Maybe we can unpack this. I got a hunch we're going to be talking about this guy, Washington State Senate Majority Leader Jamie Peterson. But maybe think about that one. Parents don't have the right to change that. Should parents have the right to stop their underage child from aborting a child? I don't know. Habika Cannon, self-proclaimed prison abolitionist who was arrested 3 times during the George Floyd riots of 2020, just won her primary as a judge for Charlotte, North Carolina. According to her website, she wrote, "We'll get you out of that cage." What? Jamel Hill attacks Latinos who came to the U.S. legally for opposing illegal immigration. What they're really saying is, we did it the way white people told us to do it. Why you doing the work of somebody that don't respect you anyway? It's like what? Good Lord, who's employed this lady? What a train wreck. People in France allegedly celebrating when Parliament votes to make K-ing babies and abortions a constitutional right. Luxembourg becomes just the second country to put K-ing babies in its constitution. Absolutely evil, says Life News. Screenshot of the video of this guy getting arrested. Bomb and arson unit and everything. What a wild afternoon. The man who planted 20 explosives near a memorial in Kansas City has an ICE detainer hold. None of these outlets reported this. Biden let these kinds of terrorists invade our country. Americans are the one paying the price. Owen Canizales Argueta facing 140 years in prison, caught placing 20 homemade explosives near the Liberty Memorial in Kansas City. Democrats calling for a complete investigation at DHS Kristi Noem, calling her the worst ever. That's laughable, says Jay. Democrats should first look in the mirror and investigate Alejandro Mayorkas, the worst DHS secretary in American history. Mayorkas lied while he allowed 20 million illegal aliens and thousands of terrorists into the country. Every single Democrat cheered and supported the Biden open border policy.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
Nope.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
Never was.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
No, it's not. Tom Tillis went berserk on DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, yelling at the tops of his lungs and slamming on the table. Your leadership is a disaster.
Quality matters, not quantity, quality.
Look at the uncontrolled anger. He never got angry with the foul Mayorkas. He was exceedingly courteous. How did this lunatic ever sneak into a GOP ticket? Steve Ferguson says Mayorkas facilitated the biggest invasion in world history, oversaw the importation of 25 million illegal aliens. I call it 40. Facilitating an invasion is treason. Why hasn't he been brought to justice? Reminder, this is a video from Contact in the ground in Eagle Pass, Texas, showing thousands of migrants waiting to be processed by Border Patrol after they crossed illegally today. I've spent hundreds of days over the last 2+ years, and I've never seen it this bad. House Judiciary GOP says never forget this happened every day under Biden and Mayorkas, and Secretary Noem ended it. So before you throw her out with the bathwater, let's not be so quick to do so. Retired Border Patrol veteran with 24 years of frontline experience tells Congress Biden, Harris, and Mayorkas turned our government into the biggest child trafficking ring in history. Explained how Trump's secure border was dismantled by Biden day one executive orders, unleashing a flood of illegal aliens, wasting billions in taxpayer dollars, with over 500,000 children disappearing into the hands of predators. This warrior made it clear they have weaponized migration to fundamentally transform America, and the surge in child exploitation reveals their deliberate malice. How can anyone be against protecting children and securing our homeland? Democrats in Virginia caught massively interfering in elections by putting up billboards in red districts, using President Trump's image and words to claim he wants Republicans to vote yes on Democrat redistricting for Virginia. Look at that. The Spanberger is just awful in Virginia. Stacey Marie Lawton, a representative, the first openly trans person elected to New Hampshire House of Representatives, pleads guilty to child abuse charges against children as young as 3 years old. The partner took N photos of the kids between age 3 and 5 in a daycare bathroom, sent them to Lawton. Couple sent thousands of text messages about the kids, with Lawton requesting access to have S with them. Faces 30 years in prison for the charges. Do you think 30 years in jail is a just punishment? Probably a capital charge. Gateway Pundit reports left-wing media analyst says people at CNN don't like Scott Jennings and have complained to management about him. Yeah, he's the only thing that's driving ratings over there. Mall at Turtle Crossing, Columbus, Ohio. Watch the video. Listen to the voice.
There's so many Somalians in this bitch. Oh God. Any place you walk, you see all of that. Everywhere. What the hell going on? Everywhere you go. Somalians everywhere. At the Mall of America.
Absolutely looting the mall. Proof that Americans are being replaced in their own country. Awesome. Attorney General Ken Paxton says the Save America Act is the most important bill the U.S. Senate has ever passed or could ever pass, and I'm committed to helping President Trump get it done. I would consider dropping out of this race. See, something weird's happening where Paxton's saying it and Cornyn is saying it. Maybe they're working out a plan. I would consider dropping out if Senate leadership agrees to lift the filibuster and pass his Save America Act. John Cornyn is a coward who refused to support abolishing the filibuster to pass this bill. Now, fake news reporters and the establishment are trying to destroy me with misinformation. The truth is clear. No one's been more loyal to Donald Trump than me, fighting the stolen 2020 election, being in Mar-a-Lago when he announced his 24 campaign, standing with him in New York in the face of lawfare. For the good of our country and the good of passing President Trump's agenda, I am determined to help him get this done. Something is foul here with Paxton, Cornyn, and Trump. I don't like it. Jonathan Turley says Virginia Democrats have not wasted time in moving the state to the far left after taking control with Governor Spanberger. A new bill requires teachers to describe January 6 as an insurrection and bar descriptions of peaceful protests or election fraud. Insane. Tony Segura reports that California passed a law that could allow babies to be K'd up to 28 days after birth. Grok is saying it's misinterpreted. It was passed in 22. Fact checks say post-birth would still be a crime. I think I'll put that, I'll copy and paste that. Per Grok. So that's not entirely true. Misinterpretation, perhaps. I think I'll end on that. Oh, geez, just a couple more. GC Cook says Trump is running the most dangerous geopolitical blitz since Bretton Woods. The end game isn't a trade war. There's a theory circulating that Trump is running a far more ambitious play, one designed to collapse BRICS, force China's hand, and lock in dollar dominance for decades. It's bold and speculative, and whether you buy it or not, the underlying moves are worth paying attention to. Step 1, U.S. moves on Venezuela's oil, lithium, gold, rare earth reserves, not for regime change, for resource control. China has quietly relied on Venezuelan oil to sidestep sanctions for years, and the lifeline gets cut first. 2, Canada. This one's less dramatic, but arguably more important. Canada deepens its alignment with Washington, offering diplomatic support, intelligence sharing, and strategic basing access. It's not that Ottawa becomes a puppet. It's that North America starts operating as a single economic and security bloc in a way that we haven't seen since World War II. That kind of continental unity sends a message that's hard to ignore. Step 3, Iran. With Venezuela compromised, China pivots to Iran for oil, predictable. That's when the U.S. and Israeli escalate, strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, command infrastructure, and oil facilities. China's backup energy source disappears. Step 4, Russia. Here's where the theory gets really interesting and really controversial. The argument is that a back-channel deal is already taking shape. Russia, increasingly squeezed and looking for off-ramps, begins redirecting energy exports toward Western markets. Out of self-interest, not friendship, in return, Moscow gets energy revenue guarantees and a pathway back to the global trading system. Canada, with its existing Arctic and energy ties, becomes the diplomatic bridge. The result is a North American-Russian energy alignment that removes China's last major source of leverage. The endgame? BRICS loses its economic foundation. Beijing, cut off from reliable energy and geopolitical allies, is forced to negotiate on American terms, including purchasing U.S. debt at favorable rates. The dollar gets a controlled reset with gold as the backstop, and the global financial system recenters around Washington. The Bitcoin stablecoin layer? Energy price spikes and defense spending flood capital into risk assets. Bitcoin pushes past 200K. Then comes the executive orders, a strategic U.S. Bitcoin reserve funded by seized assets and energy windfalls. But the piece most people are sleeping on is stablecoins. Every U.S. dollar pegged stablecoin moving across borders reinforces American financial infrastructure without a new bank branch. The Genius Act laid the regulatory rails. A geopolitical shakeup of this scale would generate a demand shock. Stablecoins don't just survive a reset like this, they become the rails that it runs on. The full sequence: resource control leads to energy dominance, leads to geopolitical isolation of China, leads to the dollar reset, plus Bitcoin reserves and stablecoin expansion. The full sequence: precision chaos leads to total energy dominance, leads to China's surrender on US terms, leads to a dollar reset, plus strategic Bitcoin reserve and stablecoin expansion. American financial supremacy 2.0. Whether you believe it or not, the pieces are already moving. Now, I find that interesting. I find it interesting. To what degree do I consider that to be news or something likely to happen? Zero. But ear to the railroad track, you're starting to see connections and potentialities. So I'd like to revisit that and consider that and do bigger deep dives on that in future shows. But perhaps instead of trying to hang Trump out to dry every day, maybe just let him cook. Let's see what the plan is. I'm not saying trust the plan in a Q way. I'm saying it in a way that this seems to be very well thought out. I wonder where this leads. Still waiting on the Fort Knox audit of the gold, and still waiting for a way for Americans to become wealthy again. Got to remove the Federal Reserve? Stay tuned. Lake Leon says Paxton set a trap for Cornyn. It's like he's offering that to force him to do it, but he's not going to withdraw until they do it. And then if they do the SAVE Act, he won't withdraw, or he will and he'll still get his way. How do you mean a trap? David says, I'm getting to the point that I don't even want to hear any more of this insanity going on around us. I know. But still. Nick Sorter reports Chuck Schumer says Democrats will still not reopen Department of Homeland Security despite Trump replacing Kristi Noem. Democrats' top demand this whole time was that Noem is replaced. They get their wish, and now they're reneging on their demands and their orders and their plans and their agreement. Democrats do nothing in good faith, do not budge on ICE, President Trump. We said never negotiate with these domestic terrorists in the Democrat Party. Why isn't Trump smarter than this? Why is Leader Thune blocking appointments and the Save America Act? This is awful. Talarico says prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, my own certainty, my own ego. It's a never-ending process, a painful process. What kind of man talks like this? Sad. In his own words.
For me, prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, my own certainty, my own ego. It's a never-ending process, and it's a painful process.
It's painful to listen to a cuck say cuck things. Blue Lives Matter says Connecticut, the so-called Constitution state, correctly notes, framed by conservative, linking the bill to broader. If you pull your kids from public school to homeschool them, your family immediately has your case turned over to DCF. That's what DCF is: Child Welfare Services, Department of Child Welfare, welfare checks. I don't know. I'll keep looking at Connecticut with that one, if it's true. And Obama cuts an ad trying to convince Virginians to vote for a gerrymandering proposal that would potentially give Democrats 10 of the state's 11 House seats. Block Obama at every term. It's not Barack Obama, it's Barack Obama. Block him. And Republicans stop a motion to subpoena the immigration records of Ilhan Omar. Republicans are utterly worthless, I say. Pew Research asks people around the world to rate the morality and ethics of others in their country. In the U.S. is the only place surveyed where more adults describe the morality and ethics of others living in the country as bad instead of good. That's the product of brainwashing. And that's the gist of today's program. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Marion, I don't think he has a masculine bone in his body. I know. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here on this Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Like the show, share it with a friend. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on your way out. If anyone wants to drop a subscription, we have 3 places to do so: Patreon, Rumble and YouTube, you can become a monthly subscriber. Thank you to everyone who has, because we keep track of those, and on the particular date, it gets transferred automatically, and that helps us pay our bills on one side, the operating fund. Every time we get a chance to add Lego blocks to that monthly installment, it helps immensely. Thank you to everybody. You can also drop Rumble rant tips and Super Chat tips. That's how we survive and thrive. Please invite your friends to the show. We want to double this show and then double it again. We want to go parabolic in 2026. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll plan on being back Monday at noon, unless something urgent facilitates or necessitates a special show. But we'll plan on being back Monday at noon Eastern Time to rifle through the rubbish and separate fake news from fact. Thank you to everybody in chat. Thank you to everybody who is out there silently watching. Signing out on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody.